Awesome. We should be live. Good morning. Good afternoon. It's 11:30 local time, Los Angeles time, 2:30 p.m. Eastern Coast time. And we have a lot to talk about today. Thank you all for being here. Wow, we've got a lot of people jumping in right off the bat. So really appreciate you for being right on time. As usual, I like to give people a couple minutes to trickle in before we start diving into the heavy material. Pretty soon, I'm going to be releasing an intro for the show. So for future episodes, when you join, you'll see an intro like it's nightly news almost. By the way, let me know in the chat what kind of schedule would you like to see me stream? I'm planning on announcing a consistent schedule where I'll go live throughout the week. I'm thinking something like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, probably around this time. And I usually can go for 2, 3, 4 hours even. But we'll see what the schedule will be. Hey, Marissa, thank you for being here. Let me know, everybody in the chat, where you're watching from. The chat is my best friend. It's my best way to hear from you directly, hear what's going on in your part of the country, and we can try and cover everything together. Thank you for being here. We got lots of people joining every minute. So, rock the mic. Yep, thank you for being here. And by the way, things are getting worse. I don't want to be alarmist. I know it's a Monday. I'm sure everybody had a nice weekend. I'm sure, people want an easy day today, but it's my job to be unapologetic, to tell you what's really going on. And I don't want to sugarcoat things. Things are getting worse. And it's happening fast, but it's happening a lot faster now. I think this whole Charlie Kirk situation has really become a catalyst for more right-wing intervention in our country, crackdown of civil liberties, crackdown of free speech. Thanks for watching from New York, Joanne. Appreciate you for being here. Sorry about the Giants last night. Do I do this full time? I do, actually. Yes, this is my career now, and it has been amazing. I've been doing this for over a year now. Really, I've been doing this for a long time, but this, iteration of what I do has been going on for a little over a year. I started making content on social media directly after Trump's failed assassination attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania last summer, because I knew that Trump was going to have unbelievable momentum and that he was likely going to beat either Biden or Harris. And I felt like I wouldn't be able to sleep at night if I didn't do something to try and change people's minds. Obviously, I didn't have enough impact on my own, but over the past year, I have grown this unbelievable community with you all. And hopefully by 2028, I'll have even more of a say, and I'll help, us, the people, share the truth about what's happening. Because let's face it, even the mainstream media networks that we, grew up trusting, like ABC, for example, they're not to be trusted anymore. Think about it. ABC firing Jimmy Kimmel, airing the Charlie Kirk rally, etc. Caving to the Trump administration, massive, $15, $16 million settlements. Same with CBS, right? And they firing Colbert. Don't think that NBC isn't coming for Fallon and Seth Meyers next. And their coverage of Trump is mild at best. Let's be real. It's not like Jimmy Fallon spends his whole show going after Trump. I'd be surprised if he even talks about him half as much as Jimmy Kimmel does. I don't watch Fallon very much. I'm more of a Jimmy Kimmel fan. I don't know if everybody saw, but Zoran Mamdani, the Democratic candidate for mayor in New York City, he just pulled out of a ABC town hall because he didn't want to participate with town hall. I did see that, Mike. In fact, that's a great point. While we wait for people to trickle in, I'm going to record a video about that real quick, so everyone's going to see a little behind the scenes of me recording a TikTok. I'm going to put this up, and this is going to help get people to join the live too. So watch this, everybody. So ABC and Disney, they're now saying that Jimmy Kimmel may have a chance to come back on the air. They'll restart his show if Kimmel turns down his anti-Trump rhetoric. That's right. That's the big if. That's the condition that Jimmy Kimmel has to abide by. He can no longer criticize MAGA. He has to severely calm his rhetoric against the president, and that is going to allow Disney, ABC to consider bringing him back to the air. Now, will Jimmy Kimmel do that? I don't know Jimmy Kimmel personally, but I hope he has a conscience. I hope that didn't sound right. Conscience. Sometimes it's hard to do these. Believe me. This one's going to be even better anyway. Watch this. So now Disney is saying that they would consider bringing Jimmy Kimmel back. ABC would bring his show back if Jimmy Kimmel tones down his anti-Trump, anti-MAGA rhetoric. That's the big condition. That's the big if that Jimmy Kimmel would have to comply with. Now, here's what I'm thinking. Jimmy Kimmel, I don't know him personally, but I know that he has a good moral compass. And I know that Jimmy Kimmel is not interested in stopping his Trump monologues because he doesn't like the president. He knows the American people don't like the president. And why would Jimmy Kimmel even want to go back on the air? The guy's got plenty of money. He doesn't need to go back on the air just to be told what to say and what to do. He's better off creating his own show if that's going to be how it is. I'm live on YouTube right now, by the way. We're going to be covering more of the fallout of the Jimmy Kimmel suspension. We'll, of course, be covering the Charlie Kirk memorial aftermath. These two events are really interconnected right now, and Disney and ABC just continue to show us that they are caving to the Trump administration, and we should not be paying for their services anymore. Everybody should stop their subscriptions, stop supporting these companies, these networks, for what they've done to free speech in this country. Perfect execution. I don't always make the videos during the lives, but if something breaks, I'm gonna do it because it's the getting a video out on social media is like the quickest way to get the word out. So I'm gonna let this upload real quick. Hey, Rock the Mic, thank you for the $5 super chat. Really appreciate it. I think you're the first person that's ever done that. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. You're definitely one of the most diehard progressive patriots on the show. Love seeing you in the chat every day. And yeah, just loving having you guys watch. We got a big show today. In a moment, I'm going to pull up Caroline Leavitt. She was speaking very shortly ago about everything that's happened over the weekend. I think this was her first press conference since the assassination of Charlie Kirk. So, of course, that's going to be very explosive. Okay, I'm going to post this video now. Disney and ABC will consider bringing Jimmy Kimmel back if he tones down Trump rhetoric. This is a developing story, 9/22. It's September 22nd, folks. Is that true? Yeah. Okay. Did I read the Wall Street Journal today? No, somebody else mentioned that too, and I'm really curious what that is about. Let me see what we can pull up on that. By the way, I remember a while ago people were saying, "Hey, do you have lip balm?" I do now. We the people. I love your message, Mike. All right, let me see what we can find about the Journal. I don't have a Wall Street Journal subscription, but I want to see what we can find. So now Disney. Let's see. Victim statement in detailing. Let's see. Wait, yeah, Joanne, I'm trying to see what you're talking. Is it related to the Epstein files? Trying to see which article you're referring to. Thank you, Margaret, for being here. Two Margarets, actually. Thank you for following from the UK, Margaret, and thank you, Margaret, for letting me know you appreciate the work. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Right before we pull up Caroline Leavitt here, if everybody can take a moment, please click the like button so the video is boosted, so everybody can find it easier, because the more likes it gets, the more likely it's going to show up on people's pages. And by the way, make sure you're subscribed. Click the subscribe button. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. All it does is it helps you see my videos when I upload them, and it helps grow my channel. And if you do want to support the channel directly, you can do so. You can send a super chat like Mike did earlier, but you can support me even more directly via Buy Me a Coffee or Venmo. Both are linked in my description. I'm an independent content creator, and someone asked, do I do this full time? I do. And this is just part of what has to be done. I have no other choice at this point than to do this work to make sure that this country survives. So let me post this right now. Sweet. Alrighty. Then let's see if we can pull up Caroline. Awesome. Awesome. Make sure we can all see this okay. Perfect. Okay, this was just a short while ago. Here's Caroline Levitt today. Looks like she spoke for about 30 minutes, and I want to hear what she has to say about Charlie Kirk, Jimmy Kimmel, etc.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Happy Monday. Good to see all of you here. I want to start with a preview of President Trump's very busy schedule for the week. Later this afternoon, the president will be making a major announcement focused on the childhood autism epidemic, alongside his top health advisors who are working to make America healthy again.
Yeah, they're going to say that autism is caused by Tylenol. Has everybody heard that? Specifically, I think they're going to pin it like Tylenol used by pregnant women. But yeah, they're going to say Tylenol is the cause of autism.
This will be a powerful display of how the entire Trump administration is committed to addressing root causes of chronic conditions and diseases, embracing full transparency in government, and championing gold standard science. Tonight, the president will depart to New York City ahead of the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly. He will be joined in New York City by the First Lady. Tomorrow morning, President Trump will deliver a major speech touting the renewal of American strength around the world, his historic accomplishments in just 8 months, including the ending of 7 global wars and conflicts.
Wow, major speech happening just on the end of this Charlie Kirk memorial. And no Epstein files, but Trump's got this major speech to try and distract us with another thing. So let's find out tomorrow about this major speech.
The president will also touch upon how globalist institutions have significantly decayed the world order, and he will articulate his straightforward and constructive vision for the world. The president will also be hosting bilateral meetings with the UN Secretary General and the leaders of Ukraine, Argentina, and the European Union. The president will also later in the day hold a multilateral meeting with Qatar, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Indonesia, Turkey, Pakistan, Egypt, the UAE, and Jordan.
She has no idea what she's talking about.
After these important meetings, the president will attend a reception tomorrow night with more than 100 world leaders before returning to Washington, D.C. On Thursday here at the White House, President Trump will welcome President Erdogan of Turkey for a bilateral meeting. And on Friday, the president will travel to Long Island for the Ryder Cup golf match between the United States and Europe.
On Friday, Trump will do more golfing events.
This event is one of the greatest sporting events in the world, and it would not be taking place this year without President Trump's help. President Trump signed an executive order last week preventing a strike that would have crippled the New York City area ahead of the tournament, and at the request of the 5 labor unions who all represent workers on the Long Island Railroad. One of the greatest golfers in the world, Bryson DeChambeau, praised the president's critical intervention, saying, quote, "When the possibility of a strike threatened to disrupt transportation and attendance, President Trump stepped up and took the action needed to protect this world-class competition." Thanks to President Trump's decisive leadership, the Ryder Cup experience will be everything fans and the golf community deserve. Again, that's a quote from the great golfer Bryson DeChambeau. Now let's all hope the American Ryder Cup team can take home the trophy. In other news, positive economic data continues to pour in. Brand new polling shows that Americans' faith in the economy and the direction of the nation is back on track and shooting even higher.
How is that the case? What kind of made up poll is she talking about right now? Who is saying that they're happy with the economy and that things are getting better?
Home ownership is more affordable, with mortgage rates dropping to a 3-year low. For new home buyers, this represents a $250 decline in your monthly mortgage payment, or nearly $3,000 a year. And President Trump has made it very clear he wants to continue to see mortgage rates decline to a record low, just like they did in his first term. Thanks to President Trump's unleashing energy dominance, gas prices are dropping and Americans are spending the smallest share of their disposable income on gasoline since 2005. Additionally, the annual cost to own and operate a new vehicle is down by nearly 6% over the last year. Americans are earning more and they are spending more than ever before. After inflation outpaced...
Folks, we're definitely spending more than ever before. She's got that right. I never thought I would agree with Caroline Levitt on something, but we are certainly spending more than ever before.
For 26 straight months under Joe Biden, real wages have increased nearly every month since President Trump took office, with wages for blue-collar workers rising at the fastest rate in 6 decades. Retail sales are also booming, up 5% over last year. And the stock market is booming, and Americans' retirement accounts continue to do well, with the Dow, S&P 500, and NASDAQ all hitting new record highs. In fact, the S&P 500 is up nearly 15%, and the NASDAQ is up more than 21% since Election Day. As part of President Trump's mission to restore America as the manufacturing superpower of the world, he has secured nearly $9 trillion in U.S. investment, nearly 9 times more than Biden attracted in his entire 4-year term, and we expect that number to be upwards of $15 trillion very soon. We're already seeing the initial economic benefits of these investments, with industrial production recently rising to an all-time high. President Trump built the greatest economy in the history of the world in his first term, and we are witnessing him do it all over again.
Does anybody know what did Trump do in his first term to build the greatest economy in the history of the world? Like, can anybody name one specific economic policy that Trump enacted in his first term that contributed to that, other than him just riding the coattails of Obama's presidency? And by the way, it's not like Obama's economy was working for everybody either. I mean, Obama bailed us out of the 2008 recession and helped improve the economy, but we still live in a country where things are too unfair, where there are too much wealthy people at the top, not enough wealth at the bottom. It's like a modern day French Revolution is incoming.
I open it up to questions on the heinous political assassination of Charlie Kirk. As President Trump powerfully stated yesterday, this assassination was an attack on everything that makes the United States of America the greatest country on earth.
He also stated, Charlie Kirk loves everybody, but that's the one thing we disagree on. I hate my enemies, and I hate them so much. And Trump basically admitted that he hates half the country. Well, really more than half the country. He hates most of the country that hates him. He hates the people that he's supposed to represent because, well, he's only president for MAGA. He's not the president of the United States.
But that attack has completely failed. The heartwarming response from the overwhelming majority of the American people over the past 2 weeks is all of the proof that you need. The assassin who took Charlie's life can destroy flesh and blood, but he can never destroy the values that Charlie stood for. All across the country, millions of Americans have prayed, hosted vigils, attended church services, became politically engaged for the first time, and honored the legacy of Charlie and the ideals he died speaking for. The beautiful memorial service attended by President Trump and 100,000 great Americans in State Farm Stadium yesterday was just the latest example. And Erica Kirk's mercy was one of the greatest acts of grace this world has ever seen.
Erica Kirk's mercy was one of the greatest acts of grace this world has ever seen. She forgave the guy, right, who sniped her husband in the neck, caused his neck to explode in front of hundreds, if not thousands of people, really in front of millions of people, because it's been played all over the world now. She forgave this guy. Now, you would only forgive this guy for one or two reasons. One, he wasn't the guy. And two, he was the guy, but it was set up for political purposes. And how could you forgive somebody like that? I don't understand. I mean, look, I understand that in Christianity, there's a huge emphasis on forgiveness, but I don't think that is to be interpreted like you should literally forgive the person that murdered the father of your children unless you're trying to become J.D. Vance's vice president. I'm just speculating here.
May God continue to watch over Erica and their beautiful children. Unfortunately, there have been some jarring exceptions to this unity. This past Friday, 58 House Democrats voted no, and 38 voted present on a resolution that simply stated condemning in the strongest possible terms the assassination of Charles James Kirk.
That is not what the resolution simply stated, Caroline, but nice job twisting reality. The resolution she's referring to, I want to make sure everybody pays attention to this. The resolution called for recognizing Charlie Kirk as a, quote, courageous American hero who, quote, sought to elevate truth. Now, you can't just say that his opinions on the far-right fringe of our country, the extremist conservative movement that Charlie Kirk led, you can't just call those opinions truth just because he's no longer with us. We cannot whitewash Charlie Kirk's history. That's exactly what AOC said. I respect her for saying that. And that's exactly what I'm saying as well. So 58 Democrats, I'm really upset there weren't more Democrats, voted no because they don't want Charlie Kirk to be remembered as a courageous American hero. He was not a war hero. He was not a firefighter. He was not a cop. He didn't save lives. If anything, he contributed to a climate of political violence that we see in this country. He called for the assassination of Joe Biden when Joe Biden was president. He says abortion is worse than the Holocaust. He says black women don't have the mental capacity to do jobs, and he says he hopes the pilot's white when he gets on a plane. And then people will twist his words and say, well, he's just saying that because he wants to make sure that it wasn't just a DEI hire who was not qualified, but they're only hired because they're black. No, actually, you dumb motherfucker, you have to be 3 times as qualified to be black in this country and to do a job. Seriously, think about it. You have to work 10 times as hard to be black in this country and to get the same opportunities. Okay, there's no handouts. There's no handouts. All DEI is about is making sure that we have a country that celebrates diversity, equity, and inclusion. Because we are a diverse country, we should be an equal country, and this country should have inclusion. But Charlie Kirk belonged to a sect of this country that still believes the South will rise again.
In all forms of political violence. There were no strings attached to this vote. This was a simple gesture of human decency to denounce political violence. I wish I could say that this was only a fringe group, but 96 votes is nearly half of the entire House Democrat caucus.
Not enough. Not enough. Too many Democratic losers, that's who they are, really. Democratic losers voted along with this Charlie Kirk resolution. Hakeem Jeffries, the House Minority Leader. What a disgrace that guy has become. What a joke Jeffries is. Seriously. Okay? And by the way, look, I caucus with the Democrats. I'm on their side most of the time because I align closer with the Democrats than I do with the MAGA movement, even though Democrats fuck up on so many levels. But Hakeem Jeffries endorsed Charlie Kirk by voting for this before he's endorsed Zohran Mamdani. He won't even endorse the Democratic candidate for mayor in the city that Hakeem Jeffries supposedly represents. But he has endorsed Charlie Kirk as a courageous American hero. What a bunch of bullshit that is. What a bunch of bullshit that is. Hakeem Jeffries should be ashamed of himself for that, but he's not. He's not.
And they didn't just vote against this basic resolution condemning political violence. A number of those same Democrats took to the House floor to smear Charlie Kirk's name. The man wasn't even buried yet. and Democrat members of Congress were denigrating his memory on the floor of the House of Representatives. This was truly a sad moment and a clear reflection of how radical the Democrat Party has become. Many Democrats in elective office have now been totally captured by a radical fringe of the far left base who want to dehumanize every person they disagree with. We must continue to call this.
Dehumanize every person they disagree with? Everything they say is projection. Everything they say is admission to guilt. All they do all day long is, well, these illegal aliens are savages and they're gang leaders, and these people are animals from mental institutions. We need to lock them up in alligator Alcatraz and kick them out of our country. But it's the left that uses dehumanizing language. Or let's talk about Gaza. These brutal savages, these monsters, barbarians in Gaza are so bad. Israel has to defend itself, even though all they're doing is destroying people every single day. No, but it's the left that uses dehumanizing language. Oh, and let's not forget about the Epstein survivors, right? It's a hoax. It's full of shit. Stories, nothing. Why are you still talking about this? It doesn't matter. It's made up. But the survivors, they don't think that. Why are you using dehumanizing language against them, calling their struggles a hoax? I hope people see through this.
Wickedness out. It's the only way that our nation can heal. For too long, past leaders have offered platitudes while political violence has been allowed to fester and harm innocent Americans. There has been coordinated campaigns dating back years, spearheaded by radical left-wing organizations centered on dehumanizing, intimidating, doxing, and even attacking Americans whom they disagree with. These groups have radicalized impressionable individuals to foment violence. An attempted transgender assassin traveled to Justice Brett Kavanaugh's family home with plans to end his life. An attempted assassin came within an inch of ending President Trump's life in Butler, Pennsylvania. And on the campaign trail, another attempted assassin tried to kill the president at his golf club in Florida. A left-wing assassin shot United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson right in the back in the heart of New York City. ICE agents are facing a more than 1,000% increase in assaults for.
She's going to have to really pull out some deep cuts to try and paint a picture like it's left-wing violence that's out of control in this country, when I thought just a month ago they were saying that it's trans violence that's out of control and that it's the epidemic of trans violence, but now it's left-wing violence. But it's undocumented migrants that are causing the violence. It's the movement that is actually causing the violence that has to point to all these different groups, and they can't even get their own story straight.
Simply doing their jobs. Violent radical left-wing mobs engaged in illegal behavior, targeted Jewish Americans, and shut down America's college campuses under the previous administration. Left-wing mobs burned down Tesla dealerships out of, quote, protest of Elon Musk and his policy.
Has anybody ever seen a left-wing mob? I'd love to see one if they're real. In fact, if there is a left-wing mob, can somebody email me? Because I'd love to join one. That would be awesome. But unfortunately, I have never been invited to join a left-wing mob. So it's hard to believe they're real.
In May, a left-wing activist shouting "Free Palestine" murdered 2 innocent Israeli embassy staffers outside of the D.C. Jewish Museum here in Washington.
I didn't realize, by the way, this is not at all condoning the political violence, but I didn't realize Free Palestine was a left-wing thing to say. I mean, I think at this point everybody is pretty clear on what's happening there, and this administration is fundraising for a genocide.
These are just a few examples, prominent examples, of the growing left-wing political violence in our country. Enough is enough, and as President Trump has promised, he will directly address the dark sources funding and supporting this domestic terrorism to finally restore order in our country.
It's so funny because imagine thinking that you have to be paid to protest Trump. That's what I always say. It's like, imagine thinking you have to pay somebody to protest Trump. It's like, people hate Trump so much, they'll do it for free. I mean, actually, you know what? I would pay to protest Trump. Like if let's just say there's this awesome protest, but you had to pay like $9.99 to get in, I would pay. You know, maybe the money would go towards like immigrant communities or go towards aid relief in Gaza. Like I would absolutely pay. But the fact that Trump wants you to believe that people are getting paid for this, like I wish I was getting paid. Fuck it. Maybe we should start paying people. That'd be great. And the sad reality is there is actually a lot of money going into these right-wing organizations like Turning Point USA to spout some of this disgusting Nazi propaganda that we saw yesterday at their little Aryan rally. I think the money speaks for itself. Follow the money. It's going to the right.
The American people can expect further, very strong action on this very soon. Everyone, Republican, Democrat, everyone in between, we all deserve to live in a country where we do not have to fear for our lives simply for stating what we believe in. With that, I will take your question. In today's new media seat, we have Monica Page, who is the White House correspondent for Turning Point USA's news organization, on the front lines. Monica, thank you for being here.
It's all so staged and rehearsed. Like, of course, it's a Turning Point person immediately, right off the bat. By the way, I had somebody from Turning Point message me. They're like, I pity you, man. I feel so bad for you. I literally responded. I was like, who are you? Like, who the fuck are you? Like, why are you commenting on my page? And he's like, I'm one of the heads of Turning Point, and I would actually invite you on my podcast if you want to have an honest discussion, but of course you never do. It's like, stop trying to fucking chase my clout, bro. Like, fucking meat rider. I don't want to go on your podcast. I'm sorry. Like, it's a waste of time. I don't like Turning Point. I don't like what you guys are doing. And we can have some kind of discussion, sure, but you're not going to profit off my name, that's for sure.
We're so sorry for the loss of Charlie. I know you work for him, you were very close to him, and we appreciate your being in the new media seat and also your commitment to covering the White House. You are here every day, just like the rest of everyone in this room, so why don't you kick us off today?
Thank you so much, Caroline. I don't think you realize how much it means to me to be here in this seat, especially on behalf of Turning Point USA and Frontlines. We greatly appreciate it. We also greatly appreciate the outpouring of support and
I'm sorry, where's the question?
just the really kind words that we heard yesterday at the memorial service. That means more to us than I don't think anybody ever knows. And even the global support that we're seeing for Charlie has been overwhelming, and it doesn't go unnoticed. So thank you so much. I have 3 questions, if I may.
3 questions? Wow, okay. Everybody get your notebooks ready.
On the horrific murder of Charlie Kirk, government and local officials said that Antifa inscriptions were engraved in these bullet casings that killed Charlie Kirk. It appears to be a trend, especially after what we saw in the Annunciation church shooting, Catholic church shooting. Additionally, Stephen Miller recently commented on the rise in this kind of violence, saying there is a domestic terrorist movement growing in this country. But the president is designating Antifa as a domestic terrorist organization. I'm wondering what...
By the way, genuine question. If anybody knows how to join Antifa, let me know. I'd love to join. The reason why I don't know is because it's not a fucking real organization. What the fuck? It means anti-fascist. It's like everybody should be Antifa. And Donald Trump is basically labeling World War II veterans as Antifa. He's saying they're terrorists now. If you were a veteran of World War II, if you were fighting on the beaches of Normandy, you were fighting to stop fascism. You were fighting to stop Hitler. And now Trump says if you're anti-fascist, you're a domestic terrorist. Not sure how our World War II veterans feel about that.
Is the approach to holding these people accountable just to ensure that violence like this just is eradicated moving forward?
Sure. Well, Antifa is going to be designated a domestic terrorist organization. The president intends to sign that executive order very soon as it's drafted, as soon as today, later this afternoon. And this is something the president campaigned on because we have seen a rise in violence perpetuated by Antifa radical people across this country.
That's how even Caroline Leavitt dropped the ball. She doesn't even know Antifa is real because she's like, Antifa, radical people. Like what? Either they're an organization or it's just everybody who's radical is Antifa.
Who subscribe to this group. And unfortunately, it's gone widely uncovered by many in the legacy media.
Maybe it's gotten widely fucking uncovered because it's not a real fucking group. What the fuck? Okay, excuse my French, but seriously, like, what? So this is why things are getting worse, and that's why I labeled the show the way I did, is because they're basically saying that anybody that goes against the administration is Antifa, and anybody that is Antifa is a terrorist. And this is a risk for me, folks. Let's be real. Like, now, all of a sudden, the work that I'm doing, you know, they could see me as an Antifa threat to the nation. And Trump has already hinted about locking up homegrowns, sending them to places like Alligator Alcatraz. This is literally Nazi playbook shit right here, okay? They start saying, well, we're going to get rid of the boogeyman, which is the migrants. But also, wait, some of these homegrowns are kind of terrorists too, because they keep saying things about Charlie Kirk that we don't like, and things about Israel that we don't like, and the Epstein files. We don't want them talking about that. What if we just took our problems and locked them up somewhere where they don't get to speak anymore? So, folks, if anything happens to me, you know, I went out fighting.
Also went completely ignored by the previous administration. Not anymore. Not only, as you mentioned, were the bullet casings subscribed with Antifa mottos, if you will, in the heinous assassination of Charlie, but there have...
By the way, I don't mean to scare anybody. Like, nothing's going to happen. I'm fine. And there are thousands of people doing the work that I'm doing. Like, I mean, specifically people who are doing shows, doing content, right? There are so many of us. So I'm like the least of their concerns. I mean, let's be real. And also, we have the power. We have the power. We're going to talk about a lot of problems today in the country and a lot of things that should have you very concerned, but we have the power. That's a big point of emphasis that I want to really reiterate throughout these shows. Go around today, this week, I want you to ask one person, literally, it could be your dentist, it could be somebody you see at the grocery store, like the cashier. Just ask them politely. I want you to ask them, how do you feel about what's happening in the country right now? Do you feel good about all this? And see what they say. See what they say. And you'll understand that most people actually feel very concerned about what's happening, and we have the power. So if we collectively unite and we decide we want to do something, we're going to outnumber these scumbags in the White House. So keep that in mind. Let's continue listening to this traitor, KK Caroline.
Also been more examples than I could read off for you here in this briefing room today of violence from Antifa. I will just read a few. In July 2025, several members of an Antifa cell ambushed and opened fire on officers at an ICE facility in Alvarado, Texas, shooting one officer in the neck. Also in July 2025, 3 Antifa members were charged with assaulting a police officer during a violent riot outside an ICE facility in Portland, which for weeks prior had been under siege from the local Antifa terror cell. In February 20...
So here's a question then. Were the police officers at the United States Capitol on January 6th, were they considered Antifa because they were actually trying to stop fascists who were drinking the Trump Kool-Aid from overthrowing the government? Were those police officers Antifa? Are you saying that your blue lives matter, but when cops are Antifa, they're terrorists? Interesting.
2024, a transgender Antifa terrorist detonated an explosive...
Ooh, a transgender Antifa terrorist, so scary. Ah!
Explosive device outside of the office of the Republican Attorney General of Alabama. In July 2023, Antifa members linked to abortionist group Jane's Revenge firebombed pro-life facilities and vandalized churches. In January 20...
Shut the fuck up. All the firebombing, all the explosions, they're happening at Planned Parenthood sites. You've got pro-life terrorists that go to abortion clinics and threaten to harass people, kill people, right? Because they follow the words of somebody like Charlie Kirk, who said, and I said at the top of the show, abortion is worse than the Holocaust. How can you say that? And by the way, Charlie Kirk is not far removed from people like Nick Fuentes who say that the Holocaust didn't even happen. There's real anti-Semitism happening. It's not what's happening with people criticizing Israel. It's far-right extremists who are contributing to that climate, the same type of people that are Islamophobic, homophobic, transphobic, sexist, and fucking racist.
In 2022, a suspected Antifa member was arrested for bringing a pipe bomb to a pro-Trump event. In January 2021, an Antifa supporter threatened to shoot police officers and Trump supporters outside of the Florida State Capitol building. Again, I could continue to list many more examples for those in the room who don't believe this is a serious threat to American safety and our national security, but this administration knows that it is. That's why the president will be signing this order. And we will also be, most importantly, looking at who is funding Antifa and who is funding these other violent left-wing groups that we've seen perpetuate so much across our country.
And Charlie Kirk died exercising his First Amendment right, willingly debating, conversing with everybody and anybody. That was what he did. So what message does this White House have now to all Americans who feel like they're too afraid to express their beliefs, their values, their morals in the wake of such horrific violence?
I think the president has answered this, and
The message is, if you talk bad about Charlie Kirk, we will suppress your First Amendment rights. If you're a talk show host like Jimmy Kimmel, we will kick you off the air and try to ruin your career and label you as a domestic Antifa terrorist and a transgender supporter because you questioned the investigation of Charlie Kirk. Someone says my screen's frozen. God damn it. I hate when this happens. Let me fix that. Freaking hate when that happens. So annoying. So annoying. I need a mod in here full time, you know? It's like, how can I even know? The screen gets frozen. It's so stupid. Let's fix that for the entire audience. How can we be a real show if the screen gets frozen? There we go. Okay, should be back now.
I will leave it to his response, Monica, where he so beautifully said, we have to keep fighting. We have to keep speaking up. We have to keep speaking our mind. I know that's what Charlie would want us to do. And we have a right to free speech in this country. The president supports it. It is protected by our beautiful Constitution. And Americans should not cower in fear. They should rise up in courage to continue speaking the truth.
And to end on a lighter note, Caroline, sure. I'd love to know what your favorite memory of Charlie is.
Sure. Charlie.
These were set up. These questions were set up.
Charlie was a great guy, and he was, of course, a very influential person in the conservative movement, in the MAGA movement. He was so helpful to the president during the campaign and to all of us who worked on that campaign, that historic campaign. I myself had many great memories going on Charlie's amazing podcast and his show. He was always willing to text people with words of encouragement. In fact, my last text exchange with him was the day before he died, and he was asking for my husband and I's address to send a children's book to our son. And I think that just speaks to the type of person that he was. And I know so many of us here at the White House are going to miss him very much.
Thank you, Caroline.
Thank you. Gabe.
Caroline, thank you. Regarding the autism announcement,
Sure.
Why now? Does the administration have new data that hasn't been published previously showing a possible link between acetaminophen and autism?
I know there's been many reports about what this announcement at 4 o'clock will be, Gabe. The president is very excited about this, so I don't want to scoop the president of the United States and our Secretary of Health and Human Services, but what I can assure...
Sounds like that announcement's coming up in about 45 minutes too, so I'll try to cover that as well.
You is that Robert F. Kennedy and the incredible health team that this president has put together are really viewing things in a much different lens. And they are paying attention to studies and the gold standard of science and research that many in this city for far too long have turned a blind eye to. So I think Americans are going to be enlightened and proud of what they hear later this afternoon, but I won't get ahead of the president on exactly what that announcement entails.
On a different topic.
Why do they think Trump is like some genius? Like, I understand like they'll say everything he does is correct and true, but like what impression of Trump do people have that he's like some super genius that can do everything and he knows everything about science? Like, he can't do everything, guys. He's not an expert on Tylenol.
Going back to the president's social media post from over the weekend regarding the DOJ and his seeming frustration that they hadn't taken action quickly enough. I want to point to something that the president said during his inaugural address. Never again will the immense power of the state be weaponized to persecute political opponents. We will not allow that to happen. Is the president going back on his promise?
No. In fact, the president is fulfilling his promise to restore a Department of Justice that demands accountability. And it is not weaponizing the Department of Justice to demand accountability for those who weaponized the Department of Justice. And nobody knows what that looks like more than President Trump.
You came after us for breaking the law, so we're going to come after you for coming after us for breaking the law. But we're not weaponizing the government. No.
We are not going to tolerate gaslighting from anyone in the media or from anyone on the other side who is trying to say that it's the president who is weaponizing the DOJ. It was Joe Biden and his attorney general who weaponized the DOJ. Joe Biden used this sacred...
It's so funny because Joe Biden's DOJ completely dropped the ball. Merrick Garland had 4 years to mount a case against Donald Trump. He took it so slowly and carefully because they didn't want to give the impression that they were weaponizing the DOJ. Their tactic was, if we weaponize the DOJ, then they're going to see that as such, and they're going to do the same to us. Therefore, we should let Trump off the hook. Just hope he doesn't win again. And regardless, he's won again, and now Trump is getting to weaponize the DOJ more than ever before. Merrick Garland had a chance to put Trump behind bars. Instead, he's helped put Trump back in the White House.
American institution to go after his political opponent in the middle of an election year. And you look at people like Adam Schiff and like James Comey and like Letitia James, who the president is rightfully frustrated. He wants accountability for these corrupt fraudsters who abused their power, who abused their oath of office to target the former president and then candidate for the highest office in the land. And I think the president is reaffirmed in those frustrations and his hope for accountability by the millions and millions of people who reelected him to this office with a mandate to demand accountability. And the president has not been shy about this, Gabe. In fact, when he traveled to the Department of Justice earlier this year, all of you were there to cover it, he said, quote, "I demand a full and complete accountability for wrongs and abuses that have occurred. The American people gave a mandate to investigate and root the corruption out of our system," and that's what the president wants to see done.
Carolyn.
Ed.
On the autism issue again, there are reams of scientific research that suggests there's no clear link between autism and acetaminophen usage. You're suggesting today they may have new information on this. A lot of it, and this entire debate, has the potential to confuse women, especially pregnant women, about what to do. What do you say to those that say what you're doing today potentially just introduces more confusion into the debate?
I think women for many years, in fact for decades, Ed, have been confused by the rapid increase in autism in this country, in the childhood epidemic that is chronic epidemic, disease epidemic that is plaguing America's youth. Women are confused about that and they want answers to that. And that's exactly what this administration is focused on finding. And before you jump to conclusions based on reports that the White House has not even confirmed, I would encourage everyone in this room to go into the 4 o'clock announcement with some critical thinking skills and with some open ears to actually listen.
Is it going to be a 4 o'clock announcement, or is Trump going to delay it 3 hours and we'll never get it? We'll find out. I'm going to have it live for you, so we'll make sure everybody can watch it.
Listen to what the president and his team of outsiders have to say about this. There will be a number of things that will be announced and discussed.
Did my fucking screen freeze again? God damn it. I'll fix that for you real quick. See if it plays.
Will be
fix it for you. Bear with me for a second, everybody. I'm going to make sure this doesn't happen anymore. Okay, there we go.
I know, as a mother myself, I speak, I believe, for many mothers across the country who really want answers to what is happening to our nation's children. So, again, I won't get ahead of the president, but I think everyone in this room needs to tone down the judgment before you even hear what people are going to say.
Tone down the judgment.
Caroline.
They're just saying that Tylenol causes autism, but everybody needs to tone it down. Tone it down.
Two, on the Holman investigation, I mean, can you just speak to, did the president ask the Justice Department to close the case, and does Holman have to return the $50,000?
Well, Mr. Holman never took the $50,000 that you're referring to, so you should get your facts straight, number one. Number two, this was
It's on tape.
another example of the weaponization of the Biden Department of Justice against one of President Trump's strongest and most vocal supporters in the midst of a presidential campaign. You had FBI agents going undercover to try and entrap one of the president's top allies and supporters, someone who they knew very well would be taking a government position months later. Mr. Holman did absolutely nothing wrong, and even the President's Department of Justice, even Kash Patel's FBI, looked into this just to make sure. They had a number of different prosecutors and FBI agents who looked into this. They found zero evidence of illegal activity or criminal wrongdoing in the White House, and the president stand by Tom Homan 100% because he did absolutely nothing wrong.
Hey, he did. I agree, man. Get more people up in here. If you could send this link to one person right now, we could double the amount of people watching. And then we could triple it and quadruple it. Everybody should send this to one person because I need people to be aware of what they're saying. And then in a second, we'll have Trump talking about his new medical announcement. So I want to hear what he has to say about Tylenol and why he thinks people are getting autism in this country. Maybe it's because we're all losing brain cells listening to this nonsense.
And he is a brave public servant who has done a phenomenal job in helping the president shut down the border. Mary.
Thanks, Caroline. I have two questions on far-left violence.
Sure.
The first one, the president said yesterday that the bullet hit Charlie, but it was aimed at every one of us. Do you and your colleagues have a heightened sense of fear following this shooting and this far-left violence we're seeing across the country?
I certainly think there's a heightened sense of awareness by conservatives across the country, by all of us here at the White House. Again, as I said to Monica, many of us were personal friends with Charlie and had involvement with Turning Point before we came and served our government in this way. So certainly it's a very shocking incident, and I think, it's very unfortunate that those of us who work in this movement have to think about violence just for speaking our minds and for supporting President Trump.
And as a follow-up on that,
That's such violent rhetoric from Trump. They were, when they shot Charlie Kirk, they shot all of us. It's like, that's how you know they're literally calling for a cold civil war against the other half of the country.
I asked the president last night on Air Force One about this pattern of transgender violence we're seeing. Charlie's killer lived with his boyfriend who identifies as transgender, and then we had the Annunciation shooting, the Covenant shooting, all of these incidents. The president said that we're looking into transgender violence. Does that mean the FBI is looking into it? And can you give any more clarity on how the administration is viewing this uptake in specifically transgender violence?
It's definitely something worth looking into, and I think anyone who denies that at this point is being willfully ignorant. And the administration is taking it seriously, all causes of violence, and why these people would be driven to such evil and such hatred. And there's probably many answers to that question, but the administration is really focused on all of them. For individual investigations and cases, of course, the FBI and the Department of Justice are leading those. But as for this overall violence and domestic terrorism that we're seeing, the White House and the president's policy team will be leading the charge, and that really begins with designating Antifa as a domestic terrorist organization. And I can assure you there will be additional actions to come. Sure, in the pink.
Thanks, Caroline. Liz Landers with PBS NewsHour. I just wanted to follow up quickly on something that the president had said yesterday. So we heard from Erica Kirk. She said she forgives the man who shot and killed her husband. And then right after that, we heard from the president who said, I hate my opponent and I don't want the best for them. How does that square with bringing down the temperature of political violence in this country? And then,
wow, they really got, oh my God, look at her. She is pissed off. She did not like that question at all. Let's take a listen to what she has to say.
if I could, I had a follow-up on Venezuela too.
Look, the president is authentically himself. I think that's why.
Okay. So here's the difference. So when a leftist says Charlie Kirk was a bad person, he was a racist, a homophobe, and spread hateful ideology around the country, that's considered violent rhetoric. That's considered Antifa. That's considered domestic terrorism. But when Donald Trump, who is the president of the United States and has the most power, says to the entire nation at a funeral of his friend, supposedly, I hate my enemy, I hate them so much, I hate them. That is just Trump authentically being himself. So anytime Trump says something that is violent, that incites a riot, come to DC, it'll be wild, we're gonna fight, fight, fight. These radical left lunatics are evil, they're the enemy within. That's just Trump authentically being himself, right? He gets a pass because he's just being his authentic self, his authentic Nazi, disgusting, Epstein list loving self.
Millions of Americans across the country love him and support him, including Erica Kirk, who you saw so beautifully was on stage with the president in an unthinkable moment, in the midst of an unthinkable tragedy, and was leaning on the president for support during that time. And he was there to give it to her, as well as the vice president and many other.
He was there to give it to her, let's be real. I don't know if everybody saw the clip of Trump hugging Erica, and you can see Trump, he's like, like, he was so fucking unhinged, even at this funeral. And still, it's like, no matter what he does, nobody catches on to how disgusting this guy is. And he's hugging her like he's hugging a girl he's trying to hook up with. He's like grinning, literally. It was so foul. It was so gross, honestly, to see this disgusting rapist, this sick old man pretending to be president, knowing what he's done to women, knowing what he says about women, and what he says about the people in the country he's supposed to represent.
Top-ranking cabinet officials. Kayla.
Thanks, Caroline. On TikTok, the deal. How much is the deal? And if you can't give an exact number to how much the deal is, when can we expect to learn how much the deal is being valued at? And then separately, who are the members involved in the deal? Like, can you share any more details there?
So I don't have a specific number for you, nor am I going to confirm the specific individuals and entities in the deal, Kayla, but I do have several details I'm happy to run through for all of you, and the president will be signing the deal, the official deal, later this week at some point. Under the terms of this deal, TikTok will be owned by a majority of American investors and controlled by a board of directors with extensive national security and cybersecurity credentials. In partnership with the U.S. government, Oracle will serve as TikTok's trusted security provider, and they will independently monitor the safety and data security of all U.S. user data on TikTok's platform. Americans' data will be stored securely in the United States without access from China. All U.S. user data will be stored on servers operated by Oracle in the United States, protected from surveillance or interference by foreign adversaries. And the algorithm, I know this is a question many of you have had, will be secured, retrained, and operated in the United States outside of ByteDance's control. And TikTok will remain globally interoperable, meaning TikTok users in the US will be able to see videos posted by users in other countries and vice versa. While I don't have...
Are you sure we're going to be able to see people in other countries, or do they not want us seeing videos about China that go against the narrative that we have in this country? They make China seem so evil and so bad. And finally, we got to see what people around the other world are doing, and it's like, wow, what are we being fed here?
A number on the specific deal. We do expect that thanks to the president's leadership and the securement of this historic deal, businesses using TikTok will generate as much as $178 billion in economic activity within the U.S. over the next 4 years. So this is great news, not just for the millions of American youth who use TikTok. Their data will be safe and secure with this new deal. They'll continue to use this very fun app, but it's also great news for all of the small business owners who have really been able to make a living off of the use of TikTok as well.
And if I could just get one more as it relates to China, on crop prices with farmers, as there's still no official trade deal with China, farmers are getting a little bit antsy navigating, prices being weak and not strong. How is the administration, thinking about farmers right now? Is there anything we can expect to see from the administration on, sort of bailing farmers out should prices continue to not work in their favor?
Well, the administration is completely understands the anxiety of farmers. We're very much aware of this issue. It has been a part of our discussions, the trade team's discussions with their Chinese counterparts. As for any specific actions, I don't have any news on that for you today, but I can fully assure you the entire National Economic Council in this building, as well as our Secretary of Agriculture, Brooke Rollins, have been talking with the trade team about this. There's been many meetings on this, and they are on the ball, but I don't have anything specific for you today. Sure, Selena.
Thanks, Caroline. But the case against Letitia James was extensively investigated for 5 months, and President Trump's handpicked Attorney General Eric Siebert could not find any evidence that he committed a crime. So is the president saying here it doesn't matter if there's a crime, he just wants his political enemies to be charged?
Well, let me just walk you through Letitia James. Letitia James completely abused her oath of office. Letitia James was actively and openly engaged in lawfare. You talk about weaponizing the Department of Justice. What was Letitia James's campaign
This
slogan?
might be her most unhinged
It was
presser so
prosecute
far.
Donald Trump. She was saying she was going to prosecute Donald Trump before she even knew if Donald Trump committed a crime, which of course we did not. Those are not the words of a serious prosecutor. Those are the words of a corrupt politician who is abusing their power. She actively campaigned on that. She also led the witch hunt, the financial fraud investigation against President Trump and the Trump Organization, and an appeals court tossed that case out, a $500 million civil fraud penalty in August, which was another win for the president, and exonerated him of this witch hunt and showed that this is an individual who is corrupt and abused her oath of office. And we also have evidence of her mortgage fraud. An April report from a white-collar fraud investigator found that there was documented evidence that James engaged in a consistent pattern of financial and property disclosures that raise serious legal questions.
But why won't the president accept the conclusions of his Justice Department to not bring charges against Letitia James? In fact, you had Bondi and Blanche top DOJ leadership who were against ousting Eric Siebert, who again was picked by President Trump.
I just answered that question for you, and the president has every right to express how he feels about these people who literally campaigned on trying to put him in jail, who
You're going after the people that you appointed.
literally tried to ruin his life and ruin his businesses, and he wants to see accountability for those who abuse their office and abuse their power. And Letitia James absolutely did that, whether you want to admit it or not.
Is that not
Jeff.
retribution, though?
Jeff, it's accountability.
Thanks,
Jeff.
Caroline. 2 foreign policy
She's like,
questions.
"Please move
President Putin has offered President Trump a 1-year extension of the latest, or the most recent treaty limiting nuclear weapons. Does the White House have a reaction to that? Does the president want to accept that offer? And then one separate issue, just generally, what is the president's response or reaction to the number of countries this week who are planning to or have recognized a Palestinian state?
2 great questions, Jeff. To your first question about Russia, the president is aware of this offer extended by President Putin, and I'll let him comment on it later. I think it sounds pretty good, but he wants to make some comments on that himself, and I will let him do that. As for all of these Western nations that are recognizing a Palestinian state, the president has been very clear. He disagrees with this decision. He spoke about that in the UK, standing right next to his friend, Prime Minister Starmer, and he feels this does not do anything to release the hostages, which is the primary goal right now in Gaza, does nothing to end this conflict and bring this war to a close. And frankly, he believes it's a reward to Hamas. So he believes these decisions are just more talk and not enough action from some of our friends and allies. And I think you'll hear him talk about that tomorrow at the UN. Kristen.
Thanks, Caroline. Just going back to this Letitia James story. What does President Trump plan to do if the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, tells him that there is not enough evidence to bring his political opponents' cases or to charge those cases?
That's a hypothetical question, Kristen. That hasn't happened at this point.
But we did see one U.S. attorney not be able to find enough evidence, and now they no longer have a job. Is that something that you would consider?
Look, the president stands with Pam Bondi 100%. He made that clear this weekend. He answered questions from all of you last night on Air Force One. He said the same, and that's how he feels at this moment in time.
Just one more thing on the Attorney General with Pam Bondi.
Caroline, would the president support designating Russia as a sponsor of terrorism if it does return kidnapped Ukrainian children? And secondly, we just found out through questioning that Hunter Biden sat in on the discussions of his pardons. What's the White House response to that?
Unfortunately, I think it's unsurprising, and it's also very telling that one of the only pardons Joe Biden signed on his way out the door was the pardon of his son. Everything else was signed with an auto pen, but that one was clearly his own signature. To your first question about Russia, I have no news to share with you on that. Sure, in the yellow.
According to media reports, Maduro has sent a letter to President Trump, but President Trump avoided saying whether he has read it. Did he receive it?
We have seen this letter. Frankly, I think there were a lot of lies that were repeated by Maduro in that letter, and the administration's position on Venezuela has not changed. We view the Maduro regime as illegitimate, and the president has clearly shown that he's willing to use any and all means necessary to stop the illegal trafficking of deadly drugs from the Venezuelan regime into the United States of America.
Context of the letter?
Gilbertson, go ahead. Oh, you and then go ahead. Sure.
Thank you, Caroline. Widline with Borderhawk News. The admin has openly discussed taking legal action against officials in sanctuary jurisdictions. Just this last weekend, we saw Mayor of Evanston, Daniel Bliss, rioting and protesting outside of an ICE facility near Chicago. Are there plans to start arresting sanctuary mayors or governors going forwards?
Unless they commit a crime, I don't see them being arrested. But if they are violating federal law, if they are violating state law, then of course they should be arrested by state and local law enforcement. If they're violating federal law, then they can expect the consequences of that behavior. Nick.
Thank you, Caroline. Would the president like to see Congress pass a national holiday honoring Charlie Kirk annually?
That's an interesting question. I'm sure he wouldn't oppose such a thing. But you can pose that to him yourself next time you get the chance.
Sure thing. And to follow up too, I know the president is honoring Charlie with the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Is there anything else that we don't know of in the works to honor Charlie?
Not at this time, but we do look forward to that Medal of Freedom ceremony very soon. Daniel.
Thanks, Caroline. This past Friday, Adam Schiff, Tim Kaine, they introduced a resolution on Capitol Hill aimed at stopping the successful kinetic strikes against narco-terrorists in the Caribbean Sea. What does a move like this, what type of message does it send to families, specifically families who have suffered at the hands of deadly narco drugs like these?
I definitely think it sends the wrong message. We wish that Democrats would get on board with a very simple idea of ending drug trafficking and securing our homeland. And I saw a report this morning that the Dominican Republic actually helped us seize a boat that was on its way from Venezuela to the United States of America with lots of deadly drugs on board. And so if you actually hear from Caribbean nations in the region, they are thankful and grateful for the administration's efforts, and they're working alongside us to end this plague of drug trafficking through their seas. Sure, Karen.
Over the weekend, Democratic leaders.
This is such a disgrace. This whole thing is so disturbing. And we're not even 1 year into this. Let's finish this out. And I know Trump is supposed to speak in the next 20 minutes.
Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries sent a letter to the White House asking for a meeting with the president to talk about government funding. Has the White House responded to that letter, and will the president sit down with them to talk about this, given that deadline is now 8 days away?
Discussions are ongoing with both Republican and Democratic members of Capitol Hill. I don't have any meetings or any scheduling updates for you today, but what I will share is that what this White House wants and what Republicans want, we want a clean funding extension to keep the government open. That's all we're advocating for, a simple, clean budget extension, a straightforward, responsible solution to keep the government open to November 21st and allow the full year appropriations process to move forward. And I will add, this is the same budget that the Democrats approved 6 months ago, just adjusted for inflation. And unfortunately, all of a sudden now, they want to shut down the government. And if the government is shut down, it's only going to, it will be the fault of the Democrats, and it will only hurt the most vulnerable in our country, our seniors, our veterans, our military families, and increasing security for members of Congress, which is something this White House and the administration supports. And if you look back at the statements made by Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries in the past, they too have advocated against a shutdown and for keeping the government open. Democrat Chuck Schumer himself said a shutdown would mean chaos and pain and needless heartache for the American people. He said once, avoiding a shutdown is very good news for the country, for our veterans, for parents and children, for farmers, and for small businesses. Hakeem Jeffries also said it's about the harm. Families will be hurt if there is a government shutdown. Farmers will be hurt. Holiday travel will be impacted. Democrats clearly know what the right thing to do is here. It's to join with Republicans to pass this clean funding extension. That's what the White House and the president wants. And with that, we will see you all at 4 o'clock for this big announcement later on. Thanks, guys.
Oh boy, I wonder what the big announcement is gonna result in. I mean, we know he's gonna talk about the medical announcement, but obviously when Trump speaks, it goes well beyond that. So as you can see, we will have President Trump ready when he comes out to speak. He is expected to speak at the top of the hour, which will be at 4 p.m. Eastern. He's usually slightly late, but Caroline Leavitt emphasized multiple times that it should be 4 p.m. Eastern. That's in 19 minutes. I'm going to take a quick commercial break real quick, go to the restroom, get some water, do everything you've got to do. We'll be back, though, in the next few minutes, and I'll be here before Trump is live so we can cover everything else. And then as soon as he starts speaking as well, I will bring him to you. So we will see each other in a few minutes. We'll be right back. If you go away, be sure to come back. If you want to stay here, totally support it. This is a great opportunity, too, to check out my other socials, Instagram, TikTok, etc. We'll be back. He's back. Jimmy Kimmel returns, baby. That's what we're talking about. He's back. Jimmy Kimmel is back, baby. Let's see if we can get this pulled up right here. Big news right now. Jimmy Kimmel, he's back. He's returned. The people have the power. The people are in charge. This is our country, folks. And the people have spoken. Jimmy Kimmel will return to the air despite wishes of the Trump administration for him to go away. He's back. Jimmy Kimmel is back. Let me get this chat going real quick. Wow, that's great. That is great news. This is just fantastic. Jimmy Kimmel is back. Awesome stuff, folks. We love Jimmy Kimmel. I might even change the name of the show. Wow. Jimmy Kimmel. He'll be back. Looks like he's back on the air. And by the way, we're still waiting for Trump to speak. Of course, he's always late. But everybody's celebrating. And this is going to completely derail Trump's momentum. Thank you, by the way, Kenneth, for congratulating my Bears. It was a big game. He's back. Great news. Jimmy Kimmel is coming back. The Trump administration has caved. More specifically, ABC. Letting everybody know it's time to come watch because Jimmy Kimmel is back, baby. Throw some W's in the chat for my boy Jimmy K. Jimmy K is back. Honestly, put a J in the chat for Jimmy and Josh too. Let me see a J in the chat. My boy Jimmy. He's back. This is a good day for America. We got to celebrate these small victories during times of trouble. Jimmy Kimmel's back. I want to see all the chats that everybody sent while I was gone. Jimmy Kimmel returning. Jimmy Kimmel returning. Wow. Thanks for everybody for letting me know. I saw it. I was in my living room getting ready for this next segment. And Jimmy Kimmel is back. I'm letting everybody know right now across all my platforms too. Wow. This is great news. Wow. I love this. I'm so happy right now because you know Donald Trump is pissed. And when Trump is pissed, I'm happy. When the president of the United States is not happy, I am very, very happy. Let me take a look at Jimmy Kimmel and make a new thumbnail real quick. So everybody knows that he's back. I'm going to rename the live too. All right, we'll get the show resuming in just a second, folks. I'm here now, so don't go away. But real quick, I'm just letting everybody know that Jimmy Kimmel is back. You know what? I was so sad too because I was really sad for Guillermo. Awesome. Just made a little thumbnail. Sweet. Oh, looks like Trump is about to speak too. Everybody be ready for that. There he is. The podium for the Führer. Awesome possum. Letting everybody know that Kimmel is back. Stay tuned. The President of the United States is about to speak. Fantastic news. Letting everybody know that Kimmel is back. You know what? Don't ever let people tell you that your voice, your power doesn't matter because money talks. And money told Disney and ABC, you lose, the people win because the people want Jimmy Kimmel. And that's that. And it's not like I'm a diehard Jimmy Kimmel fan. Look, it has nothing to do with my fandom of Jimmy Kimmel. It's about the Constitution. It's about America, folks. It's about America. And by the way, yeah, exactly. Still, don't reward Disney and Hulu and ABC with this behavior. I mean, yes, you should watch the Jimmy Kimmel show. Give Jimmy Kimmel your ratings. But don't forget what they did. Don't forget what they did. They don't deserve our forgiveness by any means. They don't deserve our money. You should not be taking your family to Disneyland. That is just not the best use of your money anyway. And trust me, there's more fun things you can do than go to Disneyland. If you're in Orange County, you can go to the beach. You can go to an Angels game. You don't have to go to Disneyland. Yep, Disney stock plummeted. Money talks. Money talks, baby. So, by the way, as everybody can see, the president is coming soon. So when we hear from him, we'll bring him. But I want to make sure everybody knows that Kimmel is back. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Happy Monday. Jimmy Kimmel, he's back. Tell a friend. Guess who's back? Back again. Kimmel's back. Tell a friend. Guess who's back? 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 No, boom. I'm sad on Instagram. I can't use the song Real Slim Shady. I guess a lot of Eminem songs are not on Instagram, unfortunately. Letting everybody know that Kimmel is back. Oh yeah. Okay, looks like they're adjusting the cameras, getting everything ready for Emperor Trump to do his speak. Our beloved Emperor Trump, who I have never said anything bad about, by the way, so please do not lock me in Alligator Alcatraz. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Sorry if I'm excited. What's the other one? Oh yeah. That's why they call me Jimmy K. I'm back. I'm back. That's why they call me Jimmy K. I'm back. I'm back. Jimmy K is back. He's back. And I just used the Mace song. Welcome back. I put the Jimmy Kimmel post up. I used Back in Black. Back in Black. You know who doesn't get enough love these days? AC/DC. They don't get enough love. Nobody's talking about AC/DC anymore, right? So, by the way, what are we looking at? We're looking at a podium of Trump, the ghost of Trump. He's going to walk in and speak pretty soon. Welcome back. Guess what? Jimmy Kimmel is back. It's funny. My show's back. Like, we took a little 10-minute break. Jimmy Kimmel's back. Everybody's back. This is great news. There's no kings, baby. Jimmy Kimmel. No kings except Jimmy Kimmel. The K from now on, the K stands for king. Jimmy King. I like that. I might even tweet that right now. That's funny. It's okay sometimes to acknowledge when when yourself is funny. This is awesome, awesome news. Because now, like, Trump is delayed. Like, he's going to take longer to come out because you've got Caroline Leavitt talking. Sir, you should know that they just reinstated Jimmy Kimmel. This is really bad, Mr. President. Donald Trump, what are we going to do about it? This is fantastic. This is fantastic. I'm so happy right now. This has made my whole day. Jimmy King. Jimmy King. Awesome stuff. Okay, so if you're just tuning in, yes, we have the big Jimmy Kimmel news. Of course, before that, we were going to show Donald Trump. He's about to speak at the White House. He's making an announcement about Tylenol. really, this is going to be his major announcement. RFK Jr. has somehow discovered what is causing autism. Looks like the Associated Press has cut back out because, of course, Trump is delayed. He's always late, but maybe he's late today because of the Kimmel news. Maybe the president is very upset right now. This is awesome. This is awesome. Back in black. This is so awesome. Hey, tell a friend to watch the show because I want to make sure everybody is paying attention to what Trump does today. If you're new here, I'm an independent content creator. You can support my work directly. In my description, there's a link to a site called Buy Me a Coffee. That's literally what it is. You can buy me a coffee, $1, $3, $5. It directly supports my show, directly supports the work that I do in this fight. There's also a Venmo link. I know a lot more people use Venmo. It's the exact same thing. You can just contribute directly to my channel. But if you want to really just support my work, make sure you're following on Instagram, Substack, TikTok, Facebook. I'm everywhere. Every platform you can think of, you'll find me there. But YouTube is going to be where we go live throughout the week. And I'll probably be live Wednesday as well. So would like to try and have a consistent schedule. I'm thinking Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I think Wednesday I might be a little busy this week, but of course, you know, news can break at any time too. So make sure you're subscribed and turn post notifications on because you want to be able to get an alert. If something happens, like let's say Jimmy Kimmel gets fired again, I may go live and then you want to make sure you're tuned into the show. So thank you so much. Best news in a few days. You're right, Tish. It's great news. And we will be celebrating. Of course, we will still watch Donald Trump today. We still have to hear the dark side of our country. But we will acknowledge that this is a major win. Wow. Awesome stuff. We're waiting for the Trump to speak. But until then, we will continue discussing the awesome Jimmy Kimmel news. I want to see if I can pull up any articles about it because this is great. This is really good stuff. I'm happy. How can you not be romantic about television? How can you not be romantic to be an American sometimes when things go crazy and then you get Jimmy Kimmel back on the air? Awesome stuff. How is it possible this video is getting so shadow banned? Ugh. TikTok is so frustrating sometimes. TikTok is really censoring the truth sometimes. I do a video, I talk about exactly what's happening, and TikTok says, you know what, we don't want this video to be seen by anybody. Wow. Okay. Hang tight for 1 second. We're going to continue waiting for Trump to speak. I'm just going to go turn the AC on. So be back in 10 seconds or less. We're back. I told you that would be fast. You have to trust me. If I say I'm going to be back in a minute, I'll be back in a minute. And right now, I'm telling you, you can trust me. Trump will speak, but not yet. We're going to wait. He was supposed to speak 10 minutes ago. This is not unusual. We've seen how late he can take. But the Jimmy Kimmel news, clearly they're backstage in the green room right now, maybe reapplying makeup to Trump's hands to make sure that his infection doesn't look worse. He doesn't have an infection, but really it's just the evil is starting to infect his entire body. Although he is the Antichrist too, so he's probably already pretty evil. Wow, I can't wait to hear Jimmy Kimmel's reaction, and tomorrow's show is going to be awesome to watch. I'm super excited for that. That's going to be just a treat. I cannot wait. I cannot wait to see that. Exactly. We can boycott everything. What did I say at the top of the show today? What did I say to everybody? You have the power. You have the power. You have the power. We have the power. Imagine what would happen if we all decided not to pay taxes next year. If we all decided not to show up to work anymore. If we all decided not to deliver mail anymore. Not to do anything anymore. This government will not tell us what to do. We tell them what to do. And that's the way it's supposed to work. The government is supposed to represent us. And whether or not you believe that the founders had the best intentions in mind, one thing is for sure. 250 years ago, there were way less people in this country. Now, there are way too many people for how few people represent us. A few hundred people in Congress and the Senate. 9 Supreme Court justices governing a country of over 300 million people. We have the power. And so we're going to have to make some big changes in this country because we cannot allow what has happened to happen again. And we cannot allow what is happening right now to continue to fester into something worse. Too many people are already suffering, and it's only getting worse. But today, the Jimmy Kimmel news is evidence that when people come together, big corporations cave. Our money holds a lot of power. We can use our wallets to influence change. If we don't like something, we stop buying it. We stop buying it, stocks start to fall. Trump starts to panic. Disney panicked. Literally. Think about it. Disney blinked. We didn't blink. Jimmy Kimmel didn't. Jimmy Kimmel was silent. He hasn't said anything in days. He took it like a man, figuratively, and Disney blinked. Seriously, think about it. And so right now we are just waiting to hear from Donald Trump. But of course, it would be a mistake not to celebrate the awesome victory for free speech. And we will continue to talk about it. Of course, reporters will likely ask Trump about it. Trump is probably going to make up some bullshit excuse like he had no part in it. It was just because of ratings. They didn't try to fire him at all, even though Brendan Carr of the FCC says that Jimmy Kimmel had language that was violent, blah, blah, blah. So, absolute joke. Jimmy King. You guys like my nickname for him? By the way, let me know what you want my nickname to be. We can have some fun. I can have a nickname. But I like Jimmy King. I'm going to tweet that right now. I'm going to tweet this out. We're going to wait for Trump to speak, by the way. Yeah, he's always late. He doesn't care about our time. It's not like we're all working or anything. All right, we will see what Trump has to say. Thank you for the dozens of you. Hopefully soon we'll have hundreds of people in here watching the president speak. While we're waiting for the president, if anybody has a family member, a friend, somebody they want to just copy this URL, send them to. I love introducing new people to the movement. So recruit somebody. Think of it like this is their recruitment. And we are the progressive patriots of America. Look, I'm a leftist, right? But I don't love the terminology of left versus right as much. I like being a progressive because to me, being a progressive means I just want progress. I want to push us further into the 21st century. I'm tired of living in a country run by people that are operating like it's 1920s 20. You know what I mean? Like, we're in the 21st century. We should be talking about clean, renewable innovation. We should be talking about ending wars. We should be talking about how everybody should be able to have a home and everybody should be able to have healthcare. Instead, what are we doing with our time? We're silencing critics on TV. We're arresting immigrants and throwing them in concentration camps. We're bombing Middle Eastern children for oil. We're digging up oil like it's unlimited and not a finite resource, which it is, so that people can profit, so we can drive little combustion cars around, which are so archaic at this point. By the way, I just switched to an electric car. It's my first ever electric car. And no, I did not buy a Tesla. I'm really happy about that. So as soon as Trump speaks, we will bring it to you. I like that, Strokey McGee. That's a funny nickname for the president. Strokey McGee. Dizzy should apologize. You're right. No kings, except from now on, the K in Kimmel stands for king. Jimmy King is back. Jimmy King is back. I love how everybody in the chat is chatting with each other too, because that's what we need. We need to build our own community. We need to have our own dialogue. The right has this. Turning Point has this. Everybody is in total communication on their side. And they're talking about their plans to destroy our country. They're talking about all the ways they want to disenfranchise people. We need to start communicating more. Yes, there are disagreements on the left. Some people have different ideas for how we should win back the country. You know, whether we should run Gavin Newsom, whether we should have AOC become president, whether we should even have elections anymore, or if that's even possible based on the fact that Trump is going to try and cheat. But the best thing we need to do is talk, and we have to come up with game plans. And yes, we're going to have disagreements about how we're going to get out of this, but we all have the same goal. We have to get out of this. We have to get out of this mess right now. Right now. Wish you had an Audi? Yeah. Well, hopefully an electric one. Electric is the next wave. And then someday we'll have something even better than electric. Everybody I'm seeing on social media is posting about Jimmy Kimmel, which is great. We did it. Kimmel is back. I love it. Looks like I'm gaining followers too on social media, which is awesome. It means people are catching on to the movement. If you're wondering why we're staring at the White House, it's because we're waiting for Trump to speak. I'm trying to see right now if other networks have him speaking yet or not. Looks like even the White House, he's not out yet. It's typical Trump behavior. Typical traitor behavior by the president. So, not a surprise at all. Oh. We'll be patient. We'll wait for him. Take your time, Donald. Take your time. We're celebrating the Jimmy Kimmel stuff. You can take your time, Mr. President. All right, let's see what we can pull up in the meantime. I want to see if I can find anything for you about Jimmy Kimmel. And then as soon as we know an answer about Trump and when he's about to speak, I'm just going to pull him up. So as soon as Trump starts speaking, you'll be hearing him. But let's see if we get Jimmy Kimmel news right now. Here's Fox News, my favorite network. Disney announces Jimmy Kimmel Live returning
Wi-Fi going.
Tuesday. Ooh, we don't want this stupid ad. Disney announces Jimmy Kimmel Live returning Tuesday after suspension. Jimmy was sidelined after firestorm over controversial remarks about Charlie Kirk's alleged killer by Brian Flood. Here we go. ABC's Jimmy Kimmel Live will return on Tuesday after a brief suspension, the Walt Disney Company has announced. Last Wednesday, we made the decision to suspend production on the show to avoid further inflaming a tense situation at an emotional moment for our country. It is a decision we made because we felt some of the comments were ill-timed and thus insensitive. We have spent the last days having thoughtful conversations with Jimmy, and after those conversations, we reached the decision to return the show on Tuesday. I'm going to make a quick TikTok with that exact quote because I want people to know what Disney said. So now everybody gets to see the behind the scenes magic of a TikTok. And then, by the way, we're waiting for Trump to speak. So when he comes to speak, we'll have it ready. Breaking news, Disney as cave. Breaking news, Disney has caved. Jimmy Kimmel has won. A huge loss for Trump, a huge win for the American people, as Walt Disney Company announced they will bring back Jimmy Kimmel's show. Here's what they said, quote, "Last Wednesday, we made the decision to suspend production on the Jimmy Kimmel show to avoid further inflaming a tense situation at an emotional moment for our country. It is a decision we made because we felt some of the comments were ill-timed and thus insensitive. We have spent the last days having thoughtful conversations with Jimmy, and after those conversations, we reached the decision to return the show on Tuesday." No, what really happened, folks, is Disney realized that they were losing tons of money. Their stock was plummeting, and we, the people, won because we have the power. Disney realized that people were canceling their subscriptions. Celebrities were calling for boycotts of Disney, and now Donald Trump is about to speak about his announcement on Tylenol or whatever. He's not happy about this news. I can guarantee you that. I'm live on YouTube now. We're going to bring you Trump when he speaks. We're covering the Jimmy Kimmel victory, so come watch. Search Josh and the Progressive or go to the link in my bio. I'll see you there. Perfect execution. Today's the first time you've seen someone make a TikTok. It's pretty easy to do. You just be yourself, and speak your truth. So we'll wait for we'll wait for Trump. Can you imagine if Jimmy Kimmel was coming out? That'd be awesome. Okay, I'm gonna post this now. Jordan, I'm recording a TikTok. That's what I'm doing. What do you mean, what am I doing? On Tuesday. Sometimes I record TikToks while I'm live because people who are watching the live can hear the news immediately, and then TikTok gets it second. So that's one of the benefits of being here live is you get to hear the news firsthand. Exactly, Starlight Soul Path. It wasn't about having thoughtful conversations with Jimmy. I doubt they even talked to Jimmy. They owe him an apology, straight up. Okay, we'll post this real quick. I might make a video about that too. I think, oh, thank you, Soul Path. See, that's exactly the point. You watch on TikTok, you're subscribed on YouTube, you get all the coverage, and I'm so happy you're here. Thank you. Yes, we need rational, progressive voices. I completely agree. Make sure you're subscribed, and please share this channel with a friend too, because I'm live throughout the week, and I post regular YouTube videos too of the lives so people can catch the recap. Whoa, computer is all of a sudden slowing down. Oh, looks like we might be coming back inside. Hang on real quick. We might be hearing from the president in just a second, folks. Let's see. Is he out yet? Not yet. Not yet. We'll wait for Trump. But we know that Kimmel will return. Wow, Trump is late. Also, water is wet. And the sky is blue. And humans breathe oxygen. I don't think people should resubscribe to Disney. Disney does not deserve our forgiveness. They don't deserve our money. They still did this. They still can cave and refire him, you know? So they don't deserve our benefits at all. Honestly, Kenneth, I agree with you. I believe Trump is on time when it's golf time. But at the same time, I bet Trump also makes people wait for him. He's probably the last one to show up for the tea time. It's just an all-around bad human. And look, some people knock Trump for the little things like, oh, the ballroom looks tacky, or Trump is so, like, mean. It's not even about that. It's not about that. It's not about his character. It's not about the fact that he's a con artist. It's the fact that he is implementing fascist policies in the country. His personality sucks. We all know that. But it's more now about his actions. They're so dangerous. Hopefully Trump is about to walk out. Disney does not deserve our money. You're absolutely right. You're completely spot on about that. They shouldn't get any of our money. Also, yeah, we're hearing about riots out of Italy too, because Italy did not join other Western nations like Canada, the UK, Australia in recognizing a Palestinian state, and people are rioting there. I was sitting so still, you thought I was frozen? Well, right now, just like all of you, waiting for Trump, trying to be patient. I bet right now he's he's being briefed by the other members of his cabinet about the Kimmel news because they know reporters are about to ask about that and not about his bullshit announcement. While we wait for Trump, I want to continue showing you the announcement about Kimmel. So we already read the quote. If you missed it, I'll read it again. This is what Disney had to say. Last Wednesday, we made the decision to suspend production on the show to avoid further inflaming a tense situation at an emotional moment for our country. It is a decision we made because we felt some of the comments were ill-timed and thus insensitive. We have spent the last days having thoughtful conversations with Jimmy, and after those conversations, we reached the decision to return the show on Tuesday. Kimmel's late night show was pulled off the air after Wednesday after Kimmel's remarks about the alleged assassination of Charlie Kirk sparked outrage and veiled threat from the Federal Communications Commission. Disney decided to suspend the show after two major affiliate owners pulled airings of Kimmel from their stations, and Kimmel reportedly has told executives he would not apologize for those comments. Good, don't apologize. Disney owes you an apology, though. Jimmy is king. King Jimmy. Exactly, Luke. It's because they're losing money. That's why they returned the show. The situation caused outrage among liberals. How about among Americans? But this is the Fox News bias that I want everyone to be exposed to. While some conservatives argued Kimmel's comments that suggested the suspected killer was a MAGA member were outrageous and offensive. How? I mean, we don't know anything about the guy other than he came from a MAGA family. And his username online was Donald Trump. Yeah, Melanie, I'm not sure if there's a longer statement. I'm going to look it up to see if Disney had more to say. But that's all Fox is quoting. Hundreds of protesters demonstrated outside Disney's location in Burbank to demand that Disney put Jimmy Kimmel back on the street. Protesters also gathered outside Kimmel's studio on Hollywood Boulevard on Thursday. I wish I went to that. That would have been awesome. Where they were recorded chanting, "ABC bent the knee, no to the FCC." That's awesome. I love that. Right? Like, all Jimmy Kimmel said was that the gunman could be MAGA. We don't know. And he got fired for that? I'll tell you straight up, I don't even believe the guy is the guy. That's where I'm at this point. I'm not even sure if this is the real guy. I mean, we're going to have an investigation, but there are a lot of very concerning elements to this story that make me wonder if this administration is once again lying to us. They don't tell the truth about anything, so why should we take this at face value? The saga began last Monday when Kimmel accused conservatives of reaching new lows in trying to pin a left-wing ideology on 22-year-old suspected Kirk assassin Tyler Robinson. We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it. On Wednesday, FCC Chairman Brendan Carr called Kimmel's comments some of the sickest conduct. Really? Some of the sickest conduct? And suggested there were potential avenues the FCC could pursue. Kimmel had reportedly planned to address the growing controversy in his monologue that evening, refusing to apologize, but Disney Entertainment co-chair Dana Walden, a top Kimmel ally, believed his planned remarks could make the situation worse. Wow, some ally of Kimmel, you fucking loser, you didn't let him go out and speak? Walden and Disney CEO Bob Iger made the decision to bench Kimmel. Fuck you, Bob, sources told Fox News Digital. I'm lying? Somebody says in the chat, I'm lying. Keep drinking the Kool-Aid. First of all, learn to spell, brother. Second of all, I don't even engage with people that can't read and write on a 5th grade level, so you're welcome. Kirk was assassinated during a college event at Utah Valley University. We know that. 31-year-old father of two was answering a question about transgender mass shooters. Really? Was that what he was saying? He was actually talking about gang violence. He was about to be racist towards black people, as he has done so many times throughout his career. And by the way, I cannot stand the fucking losers on social media on the right who keep saying, name one thing name one thing Charlie Kirk said about black people. I've gone through all his tapes. I couldn't find one racist thing he said. It's like, try and find one day where he didn't say something about black people. Literally every single time he does his little shtick, he's always got black people living rent-free in his head. It's like, it's harder to find him say something not racist. I don't know what reality people are living in where they think that like his record is totally clean. It's anything but. Kimmel has been one of the Trump administration's harshest critics in the late-night arena. It's an arena. His suspension led to a nationwide debate on free speech, and some observers wondered if he would ever return to ABC's airwaves. Fascinating. And now I'm hearing that Israel's threatening China. Wow. Ooh. Israel needs to stop threatening other countries. So, of course, Donald Trump is severely late. No word from the president as it stands as to when he's coming out. Let me see if he's tweeted anything. Let's see. I go on to my favorite website, Truth Social. Nothing from Trump. He's not out yet either. Nothing from Trump at all. When are people going to release the Epstein files, by the way? Weekend bingo. I'm gonna mute you, brother, because you can't even speak English. It's funny how like MAGA Trump supporters are like, English must be the national language of the U.S. because they want to like scare migrants, and they can't even fucking speak basic English. You're in timeout. I put you in timeout. All righty. Well, still no sign of the president. Let me show you what we're looking at. We're looking at an empty podium because Donald Trump thinks that we are all just off work and we can all just do whatever we want. But you know what? I understand if he's being briefed right now because, you know, look, Caroline Leavitt's probably saying, Mr. President, they're going to ask you about Jimmy Kimmel. You need to be prepared for that. And they're probably saying, they're going to ask you this, they're going to ask you that. Here's what you got to say. And that's what's going to happen. If reporters do their job, that's what should happen. Sometimes reporters don't do their job. I mean, let's be real. It's so funny how Trump calls them the fake news media over and over again when it's like at this point, it's like Jimmy Kimmel's been fired thanks to Trump. Colbert's been fired. All these networks paying Trump millions and millions of dollars. Associated Press banned from the White House, right? NPR, PBS defunded. So it's like they're not even fake anymore. You control the media. You're calling your own media fake at this point. So, we shall see what Trump has to say. Bear with me, everybody. Try to be patient because the President of the United States has makeup to put on his freaking fingers. Such a freaky president. It's honestly like nightmare inducing, this guy. Right, exactly, Kenneth. It's like you could ask whatever question, and Trump is just going to talk about whatever he wants anyway. The guy loves to talk. Loves to talk more than me. It's craziness. I posted the latest video on Instagram. Oh, my freaking TikTok is still taking forever to post. I'll record another one too while we wait for Trump. Disney owes yeah, sometimes I add a little tripod too because my hands get so shaky with excitement. The Walt Disney Company owes Jimmy Kimmel, and the American people for that matter, a serious apology. They're not going to do it, but they owe Jimmy Kimmel an apology for kicking him off the air over... Oh, damn it, my phone moved. I'm a one-man team, folks. I'm a one-man team. The Walt Disney Company owes Jimmy Kimmel a serious apology. Really, they owe the American people an apology as well. They're not going to do it in all likelihood, but this is what they should apologize for. Kicking Jimmy Kimmel off the air at the behest of Donald Trump for mild remarks at best. For Jimmy Kimmel doing his usual monologue where he criticizes the president, as many Americans do every day in their lives. Disney caved to fascism, and Disney is only allowing Jimmy Kimmel back on the air because they realized that their profits were struggling. They realized that the American people do not put up with this BS. They don't want our free speech to be stampled on. That's not a word. Stampled? Last try. Thank you, Tish. And by the way, we have the president ready to speak when he's ready. Yeah, fix the hair anyway. The Walt Disney Company owes Jimmy Kimmel, and really the American people, a serious apology. An apology for going after free speech. An apology for kicking a talk show host off the air for simply criticizing the President of the United States. And his criticisms were mild at best. Jimmy Kimmel was fired for doing nothing different than what he does every night in his show. He jokes about everything. He jokes about Donald Trump, and his jokes are not controversial. But Disney and ABC, they know that Donald Trump is trying to control the media, and they want to appease Donald Trump, so they fired Jimmy Kimmel. They told us everything we need to know about their respect for our Constitution, their respect for free speech. They would rather value profit and Donald Trump's support over what the American people want, which is talk show hosts to be able to say what they really feel. And by the way, Disney bringing Jimmy Kimmel back has nothing to do with their respect for Jimmy Kimmel. It has everything to do with them losing tons of money because we, the American people, made it clear that we were not going to buy ABC and Disney products anymore. Boycotts were growing. Disney's stock was plummeting. So they deserve to apologize right now. And what I really mean is Jimmy Kimmel, he's owed an apology from Disney. We, the American people, we deserve an apology. Okay, that's good enough. Thanks, Melanie. I appreciate the compliments. You know, one battle I always have is I can't decide if I'm a long hair guy or a short hair guy. Yeah, I was looking for trampled, by the way, Marissa. It's hard when you're talking for like 3 hours straight on this show, you know, and then you got to like continue to use English. It's very difficult. Okay, gonna upload that. Great news though about Jimmy Kimmel. I'm very excited. Right, even the ex-CEO of Disney said it was stupid. Yeah. It is stupid, honestly. To subscribe? Are you talking about my channel? Alexander, there's a button. Oh, I see Trump, by the way. There he is. Here he comes, everybody. There's a button you can use. You can click to subscribe on your phone or your computer. There should be a big button below the video. It's free, by the way, and it supports my channel, and it makes sure you never miss a video again. Here he comes. Here he comes. Dun 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 dun. Here we go.
Thank you very much.
Oh, he's not happy.
So I've been waiting for this meeting for 20 years, actually. And it's not that everything's 100% understood or known, but I think we've made a lot of strides. Wish it was done a long time ago. Today, we're delighted to be joined by America's top medical and public health professionals as we announce historic steps to confront the crisis of autism. Horrible, horrible crisis. I want to thank the man who brought this issue to the forefront of American politics along with me. And we actually met in my office, is it like 20 years ago, Bobby? It's probably 20 years ago in New York. I was a developer, as you probably heard, and I always had very strong feelings about autism and how it happened and where it came from. And he and I don't know, the word got out, and I wouldn't say that people were very understanding of where we were, but it's turning out that we understood a lot more than a lot of people who studied it, we think. And I say we think because I don't think they were really letting the public know what they knew. Thanks as well to the director of the National Institute of Health, Dr. Jay Bhattacharya, FDA Commissioner Dr. Marty McCary. These are great people. Administrator of the Centers for Medicine and Medicaid Services, Dr. Mehmet Oz, and Acting Assistant Secretary of HHS, Dr. Dorothy Fink. So thank you all. Thank you, Dorothy, very much. The meteoric rise in autism is among the most alarming public health developments in history. There's never been anything like this. Just a few decades ago, 1 in 10,000 children had autism. So that's not a long time. And I've always heard, you know, they say a few, but I think it's a lot less time than that. It used to be 1 in 20,000, then 1 in 10,000. And I would say that's probably 18 years ago. And now it's 1 in 31, but in some areas it's much worse than that, if you can believe it, 1 in 31. And I gave numbers yesterday. For boys, it's 1 in 12. I was told that's in California where they have for some reason, a more severe problem. But whether it's 1 in 12 or 1 in 31, can you imagine? That's down from 1 in 20,000, then 1 in 10,000. And now we're at the level of 1 in 12 in some cases for boys, 1 in 31 overall. So since 2000, autism rates have surged by much more than 400%. Instead of attacking those who ask questions, everyone should be grateful for those who are trying to get the answers to this complex situation. And the first day all of these great doctors behind me were there, I told them this is what we have to find out. Because when you go from 20,000 to 10,000 and then you go to 12, you know there's something artificial. They're taking something. And by the way, I think I can say that there are certain groups of people that don't take vaccines and don't take any pills that have no autism. That have no autism. Does that tell you something? That's currently, is that a correct statement, by the way?
No.
There are some studies that suggest that, yeah, with the Amish, for example.
The Amish, yeah, virtually, I heard none. See, Bobby wants to be very careful with what he says.
How about also because they don't fucking diagnose for autism in communities like that because people aren't going to medical professionals and they're not getting checked. So is it really zero or is it being underreported?
And he should, but I'm not so careful with what I say. But you have certain groups, the Amish as an example, they have essentially no autism. First, effective immediately, the FDA will be notifying physicians that the use of let's see how we say that. Acetaminophen. Is that okay? Which is basically commonly known as Tylenol during pregnancy, can be associated with a very increased risk of autism. So taking Tylenol is not good. All right, I'll say it. It's not good. For this reason, they are strongly recommending that women limit
Wow. Let's see what the stocks do.
Tylenol use during pregnancy unless medically necessary. That's, for instance, in cases of extremely high fever, that you feel you can't tough it out, you can't do it. I guess there's that. It's a small number of cases, I think. But if you can't tough it out, if you can't do it, that's what you're going to have to do. You'll take a Tylenol, but it'll be very sparingly. It can be something that's very dangerous to the woman's health. In other words, a fever that's very, very dangerous, and ideally a doctor's decision, because I think you shouldn't take it. And you shouldn't take it during the entire pregnancy. They may tell you that toward the end of the pregnancy, you shouldn't take it during the entire. And you shouldn't give the child the Tylenol every time he's born and he goes and has a shot. You shouldn't give a Tylenol to that child. All pregnant women should talk to their doctors for more information about limiting the use of this medication while pregnant. So ideally, you don't take it at all. But if you can't tough it out, or if there's a problem, you're going to end up doing it.
This is insane. This is insane. What link are we talking about between Tylenol and autism? By the way, everybody I know has taken Tylenol several times this year alone, and everybody's fine. What, are we going to just start becoming autistic more and more because we take Tylenol? What?
The other thing that I can tell you that I'll say that they will maybe say at a little bit later date, but I think when you go for the shot, you do it over a 5-time period. Take it over 5 times or 4 times, but you take it in smaller doses and you spread it out over a period of years. And they pump so much stuff into those beautiful little babies, it's a disgrace. I don't see it.
They pump so much stuff into those beautiful little babies. It's a disgrace. How about life-saving medication, vaccines, so babies aren't getting things like chickenpox and polio and measles, etc.? Would you rather we pump these life-threatening illnesses into our babies, or trust the science that has been backed up for decades by scientists, not these fucking whack job conspiracy theorists that are flanking you left and right?
I think it's very bad. They're pumping, it looks like they're pumping into a horse. You have a little fragile child, and you get a vat of 80 different vaccines, I guess, 80 different blends, and they pump it in.
What the hell is he talking about? We've all been vaccinated as children. I think we're all doing just fine.
Ideally, a woman won't take Tylenol. And on the vaccines,
the messaging is so horrible out of this administration. They do nothing but confuse people, endanger people, make people's lives more miserable. Is he talking about pregnant women? Is he just talking about women? Women shouldn't take vaccines. Tylenol. Children shouldn't take Tylenol. Well, he's also talking about vaccines. So sorry, not sorry. He's saying don't take vaccines. Don't take Tylenol. Don't take anything. Live like the Amish, he said.
It would be good instead of one visit where they pump the baby, load it up with stuff. You'll do it over a period of 4 times or 5 times. I've been so into this issue for so many years just because I couldn't understand how a thing like this could happen. And it's artificially induced. It's not like something that when you go from all of those, healthy babies to a point where I don't even know structurally if a country can afford it. And that's the least of the problems. To have families destroyed over this is just so terrible. I also and we've already done this, we want no mercury in the vaccine. We want no aluminum in the vaccine. The MMR, I think, should be taken separately. This is based on what I feel, the mumps,
Based on what I feel.
measles, and all the three should be taken separately. And it seems to be that when you mix them, there could be a problem. So there's no downside in taking them separately. In fact, they think it's better, so let it be separate. The chicken pox is already separate because when that got mixed in, I guess they made it four for a while, it really was bad. So they make chicken pox. Individually, they're okay. When you mix them, something maybe happens. So there's no downside in doing it. It's not like, oh, if you do it, bad things. No, it's only good side. And it may not have that much of an impact, but it may have a big impact. So let those be taken separately. And then hepatitis B is sexually transmitted. There's no reason to give a baby that's almost just born hepatitis B. So I would say wait till the baby is 12 years old and formed and take hepatitis B.
You would say? You're not a medical expert, dog. Let the medical experts decide. And by the way, these people around you are not medical experts.
And I think if you do those things, it's going to be a whole different, it's going to be a revolution in a positive sense in the country. The FDA will be updating the label of an existing drug to reflect potential benefits in reducing some autism symptoms. This gives hope to the many parents with autistic children that it may be possible to improve their lives. That's one of the things that I'm very, very happy about. I mean, this was mostly going to be on how not to have the child affected, but we've learned some pretty good things about certain elements of genius that can be given to a baby, and the baby can get better. And in some cases, maybe substantially better. Not going to be easy, but be a lot easier if it didn't happen in the first place, as these great parents fully understand.
I was just so happy about the Jimmy Kimmel news, and now like the children in America are going to get sick and die because of all the diseases they're going to get because Trump wants it to be 1850 again.
Understand, right? They fully understand. I feel so terribly for. I have so many friends with autistic children. It's a tough situation. Finally, to help reach the ultimate goal of ending the autism fever, the NIH will be announcing 13 major grant awards from the Autism Data Science Initiatives. And to be honest with you, to me, that's the least important. It's not even a money thing at this point. There's so much money, but they have to do, and they have to move quickly. When the alternative is that nothing bad can happen, let's do it now. I was just saying to Bobby and the group, let's do it now. Nothing bad can happen. It can only good happen. But with
that may go down. I don't know. There's so many at this point, but that could go down as an all-time Trump quote. What did he just? He said, nothing bad can happen. It can only good happen. What the hell?
That nothing bad can happen. Let's do it now. I was just saying to Bobby and the group, let's do it now. Nothing bad can happen. It can only good happen.
Nothing bad can happen. It can only good happen. Trump 2028. Nothing bad can happen. It can only good happen. Everybody should write that one down. I want to make sure personally that one becomes a major Trumpism. Nothing bad can happen. It can only good happen.
But with Tylenol, don't take it. Don't take it. And if you can't live, if your fever is so bad, you have to take one because there's no alternative to that. Sadly, first question, what can you take instead? It's actually, there's not an alternative to that. And as you know, other of the medicines are absolutely proven bad. I mean, they've been proven bad with the aspirins and the Advils and others, right? And they've been proven bad. So I'd like to ask Bobby to get up to the podium and say a few words, and then Dr. Bhattacharya and Dr. McCary, Dr.
Get your
Oz,
Tylenol
Dr.
ready,
Fink,
'cause this is about
followed
to be
by
headache
two
inducing.
incredible mothers that have experienced firsthand what this country is going through, what parts of the world are going through. And I will say there are parts of the world that don't take Tylenol. I mean, there's a rumor, and I don't know if it's so or not, that Cuba, They don't have Tylenol because they don't have the money for Tylenol, and they have virtually no autism, okay? Tell me about that one. And there are other parts of the world where they don't have Tylenol, where they don't have autism. That tells you a lot. And I want to say it right now. And you know, the way I look at it, don't take it. Don't take it. There's no downside in not taking it. So I'd like to ask Bobby to come up and say a few words. I hope I didn't ruin his day, but that's the way I feel. I've been very strong on the subject for a long time. You know, life is common sense, too. And there's a lot of common sense in this, and I wish things like this were brought up. And this group has worked so hard on it, but I'd like to be a little bit more, a little speedier in the process of a recommendation, because there's no harm in going quicker. There's
Nothing bad
absolutely
can
no
happen.
harm. At worst, there's
Nothing bad can happen, folks. It can only good happen.
no harm. Thank you very much, Bobby, please.
Nothing bad can happen. It can only good happen.
To meet the president's challenge, I ordered HHS to launch an unprecedented all-agency effort
Hey, subscribe to my channel. Nothing bad can happen. It can only good happen.
to identify all causes of autism, including toxic and pharmaceutical exposures. At President Trump's urging, NIH, FDA, CDC, and CMS are turning over every stone to identify the etiology of the autism epidemic and how patients and parents can prevent.
I'm sorry. This guy needs a Tylenol. Man, he sounds like he's got a real illness going on.
And reverse this alarming trend. We have broken down the traditional silos that have long separated these agencies, and we have fast-tracked research and guidance. Historically, NIH has focused almost solely on politically safe and entirely fruitless research about the genetic drivers of autism. And that would be like studying the genetic drivers of lung cancer without looking at cigarettes. And that's what NIH has been doing for 20 years. As a result, we don't have an answer to this critical question, despite the cataclysmic impact of the epidemic on our nation's children. We are now replacing the institutional culture of politicized science and corruption with evidence-based medicine. NIH research teams are currently testing multiple hypotheses with no area off limits. We promise transparency as we uncover the potential causes and treatments, and we will notify the public regularly of our progress. Today, we are announcing two important findings from our autism work that are vital for parents to know as they make these decisions.
I love how I'm like actively losing viewers because people just can't even stomach listening to this guy. Please stay here because I'll help us get through this. I'll help us, people. But let's listen to what he says because it's important to react to it.
First, HHS will act on acetaminophen.
Easier said than done, though.
The FDA is responding to clinical and laboratory studies that suggest a potential association between acetaminophen use during pregnancy and adverse neurodevelopmental outcomes, including later diagnosis for ADHD and autism. Scientists have proposed biological mechanisms linking prenatal acetaminophen exposure to altered brain development. We have also evaluated the contrary studies that show no association. Today, the FDA will issue a physician's notice about the risk of acetaminophen during pregnancy and begin the process to initiate a safety label change. HHS will launch a nationwide public service campaign.
I'm gonna film a really funny video in a second too, because sometimes it's just you can't even do anything but laugh.
To inform families and protect public health. FDA also recognized that acetaminophen is often the only tool for fevers and pain in pregnancy, as other alternatives have well-documented adverse effects. HHS wants, therefore, to encourage clinicians to exercise their best judgment in the use of acetaminophen for fevers and pain in pregnancy.
Watch this. I'll do a serious video first, and then I'll let you all resume this in a second. But this is what I want. This is what I want my audience to know. Breaking news, Donald Trump and RFK Jr. are telling the American people to stop taking Tylenol because they claim Tylenol causes autism. This is the first evidence of the Trump RFK Jr. autism investigation. They're saying that autism is caused by Tylenol. Pregnant women in particular should stop taking Tylenol. Children should stop taking Tylenol. This is absolutely insane. There is no research or science behind this madness. They are just up there stating opinions. They are undermining public health officials, undermining science, and they are causing panic in the public. They're causing panic among the American people because right now, a lot of people are going to take this at face value and think they can't use Tylenol anymore. Trump says stop taking it, and he says there's nothing else you can take either. Don't take aspirin, don't take ibuprofen. They're telling you not to take Tylenol, and who knows if Tylenol starts coming off the shelves or not. It's very concerning. This entire thing makes me want to take a Tylenol because it's very headache-inducing. I'm live on YouTube covering it now, so come watch as Trump and RFK Jr. literally are speaking in the White House as we speak, telling people no more Tylenol. It causes autism, apparently. Wrong. Okay.
By prescribing the lowest effective dose for the shortest necessary duration and only when treatment is required. Furthermore, thanks to the politicization of science, the safety of acetaminophen against the risk of neurodevelopmental disorders in young children has never been validated. Prudent medicine, therefore, suggests caution in acetaminophen use by young children, especially since strong evidence also has associated it with liver toxicity. Some studies have also found the use of acetaminophen in children can potentially prolong viral illnesses. FDA will drive new research to safeguard mothers, children, and families. In addition to a possible acetaminophen connection to autism for pregnant women, infants, and toddlers, our research has revealed that folate deficiency in a child's brain can lead to autism. We have also identified an exciting therapy that may benefit large numbers of children who suffer from autism. Peer-reviewed literature has documented that up to 60% of folate-deficient children with ASD can have improved verbal communications if given leucovorin. I have instructed NIH, FDA, and CMS to help doctors treat children appropriately. Jay will help tell that story, which started with sound science, the kind that restores faith in government. This announcement also represents a historic collaboration between NIH, FDA, CDC, and CMS. We expect this to be the first of many announcements over the coming years that deliver actionable information to parents on underlying cause of autism and the potential paths for prevention and reversal. Finally, autism is a complex disorder with multifactorial etiology. We are continuing to investigate a multiplicity of potential causes with no areas of taboo. One area that we are closely examining, as the president mentioned, is vaccines. Some 40 to 70% of mothers who have children with autism believe that their child was injured by a vaccine. President Trump believes that we should be listening to these mothers instead of gaslighting and marginalizing them like prior administrations. Some of our friends like to say that we should believe all women.
Oh my God.
Some of these same people have been silencing and demonizing these mothers for 3 decades.
Shut the fuck up. Shut your mouth, bro. Says, some people say we should believe all women. Well, why have we been silencing these pregnant women for decades? What, the crazy lady on Facebook who says that vaccines cause autism, that Tylenol causes autism because she watched some weird YouTube documentary? But you want to disrespect the survivors of sexual assault? That's what we mean when we say believe all women. Don't flip this back on us, you jackass. You have no idea what you're talking about. You only are doing this for money.
Research on the potential link between autism and vaccines has been actively suppressed in the past. It will take time for an honest look at this topic by scientists. But I want to reassure the people in the autism community that we will be uncompromising and relentless in our search for answers. We will perform the studies that should have been performed 25 years ago. Whatever the answer is, we will tell you what we find. We are researching this issue to all three agencies. Jay will discuss one of our research initiatives at NIH. This model of unleashing unbiased, depoliticized, gold standard scientific research and academic freedom to deliver actionable information to prevent and reverse disease will be a model for the framework to deliver similar results for many other chronic conditions that plague Americans. Jay?
Get it out, get it out, buddy. Get it out.
Kennedy. And thank you, President Trump.
Thank you very much.
I'm proud to announce today that the NIH has launched the Autism Data Science Initiative to turbocharge autism research, devoting an additional $50 million to the cause of studying autism. Nearly 250 research teams from across the country applied, sent in their applications, and were peer-reviewed by the NIH review panels. The NIH peer reviewers chose the 13 best projects focused on root causes and therapies, with replication and validation studies to guarantee gold standard science. The studies feature a new kind of science called exposomics, where scientists consider environmental and medical factors, nutrition, events during pregnancy, in combination with biology and genetics to answer vital questions about autism. Science like this, conducted in partnership with families and physicians.
If you are a real scientist, I'm not really sure who this guy is, and you are doing this because you are just begging for the funding from Trump. Look, I understand some people are in a really tricky situation. Like if you're running a major research institution, you need Trump's funding for research. You don't want to directly piss Trump off, because if you can get the money, you can do the actual research, the actual work, and not have your funding cut. But if you're also standing up there and you know that the funding is secure, but you're not criticizing what's going on around you, you're not going to actually use science and say, you know, what you guys are talking about is not founded in science. Shame on you. I don't know which way this guy, resides in yet, but yeah.
Is the best way to arrest and reverse the autism epidemic. Autism spectrum disorder encompasses a very wide range of symptoms, ranging from mild difficulties with social interactions to profoundly autistic children who experience severe disabilities in speech and behavior. Given this wide range of symptoms across the spectrum, it seems certain that there will be a wide range of biological contributors to explaining the cause. The great thing about the new NIH initiative on autism is that scientists will use rigorous advanced methods in causal inference, machine learning, organoids, and other fresh approaches to the problem. The sharp rise in the prevalence of autism deserves an urgent response by the scientific community. As Bobby said, the NIH has invested a lot of money to study autism over the years, but the research has not produced the answers that families and parents of autistic children deserve, and autistic children themselves deserve. For too long, it's been taboo to ask some questions for fear that scientific work might reveal a politically incorrect answer. Because of this restricted focus in scientific investigations, the answers for families have been similarly restricted, often pointing families to behavioral therapies that don't work for every kid, or suggest non-modifiable genetic factors as the cause. But genetics alone can't explain such a sharp rise in autism prevalence over just a few decades, as the president said. In coming months and years, as NIH scientists learn more that can help autistic children and their families, we won't delay. Like scientists often like to do, I can say as a scientist myself, it's really tempting to delay, but but in face of a problem like this, you have to move fast. But we will not delay before telling American people about what we find, and we will win the public trust with transparency and rigor. Already, our broadened focus on autism research has pointed to 2 items that will help families prevent and treat some cases of autism. I'll leave the good news on these 2 items to my close friends and colleagues, Dr. McCary and Dr. Oz. We've been working together closely on this problem for the past 6 months, and our cooperation represents an unprecedented collaboration with Secretary Kennedy's Department of Health and Human Services and with President Trump. I'm delighted to introduce Dr. Marty McCary, Commissioner of the Food and Drug Administration, who will tell you about these announcements of practical help for families with autism.
Great, thank you, Dr. Bhattacharya. Mr. President, this is the start of a historic shift in medical culture. This administration is working together to ask big questions about why our nation's children are getting sick so fast. Too often, medicine is doing small little studies, giving us answers we already knew. But we've got to make a difference. You've given us a charge to identify root causes and we are not going to stop so that we can end the suffering we are watching. And if you've seen a kid with autism, with severe autism, it's hard to watch. Kids get frustrated, they get angry, they can be crying because they want to speak and they can't speak. It's hard to watch, and it may be entirely preventable.
By the way, an unmediated fever in a pregnant woman is actually more likely to cause birth defects. Let's think about that. You have a pregnant woman who's got a serious fever and all she can take is Tylenol, and Tylenol is actually going to help her. Meanwhile, you let the fever fester and suddenly the baby has real problems.
For an epidemiologist, that child is an expanding statistic. But for a child, it can be brutal to have autism. Today, the FDA is taking action to update the label on acetaminophen and sending a letter to all U.S. doctors letting them know about the risks in pregnancy. We now have data we cannot ignore. There's a very large study, the Boston Birth Cohort, with researchers that have, from Johns Hopkins, my former institution, and Boston University, found quote-unquote consistent associations between acetaminophen in pregnancy and autism. And the Nurses' Health Study with researchers from Yale, Columbia, and Harvard looking at 9,000 kids found that acetaminophen use in pregnancy was associated with neurodevelopmental disorders. And 4 weeks ago, a Mount Sinai Harvard study reviewed all the existing literature and found the overwhelming body of evidence points to an association. Sure, you'll be able to find a study to the contrary. That's how science works. But to quote the dean of the Harvard School of Public Health, there is a causal relationship between prenatal acetaminophen use and neurodevelopmental disorders of ADHD and autism spectrum disorder. We cannot wait any longer. And honestly, there's been this perfunctory, reactionary, mindless practice in medicine. I learned it in medical school and residency. Just treat all fevers, low-grade fevers, treat them with acetaminophen. Why? What are we doing? A study out of Hopkins actually showed that treating a fever can prolong the duration of illness in a young kid. Maybe that's because a fever is a body's natural way of ridding an infection. When my wife was pregnant and delivered our son a few months ago, they pushed her to take acetaminophen for a low-grade fever. She said no, and then they looked to me and I said, absolutely no. I'm also here to announce good news. Today, the FDA is filing a Federal Register notice to change the label on an exciting treatment called prescription leucovorin so that it can be available to children with autism. You know, autism may also be due to an autoimmune reaction to a folate receptor on the brain, not allowing that important vitamin to get into the brain cells. It's a fairly established, mature pathway. Again, we have a duty to let doctors and the public know we are going to change the label to make it available. Hundreds of thousands of kids, in my opinion, will benefit. One study found that with kids with autism and chronic folate deficiency, 2/3 of kids with autism symptoms had improvement, and some marked improvement. Mr. President, you told us to do what's medically right, to go bold, and not worry about the corporations and the lobbyists. So that's what we're here doing today. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Thanks, Marty. I think you all appreciate
The only president worried about the corporations is Trump. He's the one that gives corporate billionaires amazing handouts, tax breaks, etc. So for him to pretend like he's doing this because he doesn't want the corporations to get rich is ridiculous. They're enriching themselves.
passion in the president's voice. We've been hearing that since the inauguration. In fact, even before the inauguration, the president was upset about what he spoke to today. And so together with Secretary Kennedy, who's made it his life's work to address some of these challenges with autism, they challenged us. In fact, they were harsher than that. They wanted no silos to break down what the NIH would do, what the FDA would do, what CMS would do. They insisted that the physician leaders bust through the clutter because their agencies had the power if we didn't do what every other prior administration had done, which is to let people function within their siloed environments. Because of that, in historic fashion and a very accelerated manner, we have a response today to the autism crisis. It is the first of several chapters, but this is breaking news. You've heard some of it. The response to the autism crisis is going to continue to come to you under Secretary Kennedy's leadership, and the president wouldn't have it any other way. As you've heard, the FDA the FDA, based on NIH research, is approving prescription leucovorin for treatment of autistic children. Now, if you're following the script, there should be two questions that you have, two questions that should come to your mind. The first is, how will patients and parents get access to the treatment? I'll tell you how. Over half of American children are covered by Medicaid and CHIP, government health insurance, over half. And therefore, because they're covered in Medicaid and CHIP, upon this label change by Marty, state Medicaid programs in partnership with CMS will cover prescription leucovorin around the country. It's yours, but you have to go to a doctor to get a prescription because they know your child, they know you, and they know the medication. States will also have tools to monitor its use and ensure appropriate utilization. That's important for a bunch of reasons because we want the right kids getting the right prescription medications. We believe private insurance companies will rapidly follow our lead if they have not already done so. And again, to make sure that this is safe and effective treatment, you need a physician to prescribe the medication because it's on prescription. Second big question. How are we going to collect clinical data to answer the big questions that the president is asking and the secretary insists that we offer? CMS is also issuing guidance to convene states and existing research networks to support NIH and FDA in their research efforts of prescription leucovorin, while also maintaining the privacy of all patients, all health information of our beneficiaries. Collecting real-world data, which is what many of you have been asking us to do in the community, is fast, it is life-saving, and we'll get answers based on what happens over the next few months with this approach. The aggressive approach, and it is aggressive, demanded by the president and by the secretary, have already identified risk factors and opened the door for the first FDA-recognized treatment pathway for autism. It is the first of its kind, and it wouldn't have happened without the leadership of the president and the secretary. The fivefold increased prevalence of autism over the past 25 years demands a rapid response. The average clinician, researcher, we spoke to many, thought it would take 5 years to get this data. Parents are unwilling to wait 5 years. The president is unwilling to wait 5 years for these results. So the president—
That's correct, Renee. There's no evidence to suggest what they're saying is true.
The president and the secretary are acting today with this tri-agency move. The administration's bold actions investing in groundbreaking research follow the science. They restore trust, which has been lacking, and they will change the trajectory for millions of American families. Mr. President, God bless you for being brave. So let me introduce Dr. Fink, who's acting administrator, and after Dr. Fink, we've got some wonderful women, Jackie and Amanda. I know it's going to be tough, but if you can make some comments about this historic day, God bless you.
It's going to be tough to make up some stuff.
Thank you, Mr. President, for this opportunity to speak with all of you today. As a pediatrician and mom, I'm here today to talk about what this announcement means for the millions of moms and dads.
Look at Doopy Drumpf over here, just losing his life every minute. He's literally dying in real time, pretending that he's perfectly fine, in good health. He's slipping.
Dads who are faced with the choice of whether to take acetaminophen during pregnancy. It's hard to hear information that challenges the status quo. We are sharing this information not to confuse, but to empower parents to make the best choices when taking medications during pregnancy. We are all concerned about the rising rates of neurodevelopmental disorders, including autism. President Trump and Secretary Kennedy are dedicated to radical transparency so that patients have the best, most up-to-date information. We are also sharing this information with our nation's doctors, and we encourage you, as always, to consult with your doctor to make the best decision for you. All too often, it's easy to think that medicines we buy without a prescription pose little to no risk for the mom or the baby. As you heard today, pregnant women who need high fever or pain reduction during pregnancy should take the lowest effective dose of acetaminophen for the shortest possible duration. Most women will not meet these indications during their pregnancies. I am encouraged by these developments today because it is another example of our commitment to the American people to leave no stone unturned in improving the health of our nation's children.
This is so concerning.
Next, I'm going to turn it over to some incredible mothers who are going to share more about their story.
Even if true, all this is doing is fueling these right-wing conspiracy theorists online. I mean, you heard Trump talking about the vaccines. Is this a thing about Tylenol or is this a thing about vaccines? He's saying they pump the kids with shots. We got to get rid of these shots. Notice how nobody else has been talking about the vaccines. Not even Mr. Vaccine himself, Bobby Kennedy.
And we're so grateful to have you here today.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President and team, for all your work. This is an historic day, and I'm thankful to be here. I have a son who's 5 who is profoundly autistic, and you've probably heard if you've met one autistic child, you've met one autistic child. It's a spectrum, which I don't think the spectrum is helpful, but that's another conversation. He is an amazing little boy, a blessing from God. He's marvelous. He can count to 1,000. He knows all of his letters and the sounds they make and a word for each one. But he also has a lot of obstacles. He is nonverbal. He can say those numbers and letters, but there's no communication. Unless you've lived with profound autism, you have no idea. You have no idea. He, like you said, he will get frustrated because he can't speak. It's not even that he can't speak. Sometimes he just doesn't understand what I'm saying. He understands the word no, but he doesn't understand the why behind the no. And that's a huge part of discipline. That's the discipline. So it's very hard to discipline a child with autism so you have these behaviors. And it's a very hopeless feeling. It's very isolating being a parent with a profound autistic child. Even just taking them over to your friend's house is something we just don't do because, again, they're going to be met with no, 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 and no understanding of why. And then there's a meltdown. And then you're in a situation where you're just helpless and you're just trying to protect your kid. So
look, I understand. It's sad. She has someone with autism. It's a little political pathos right here. After all the professionals spoke, they got to get somebody in here to talk about how hard autism is, which, yes, autism, a lot of people are struggling with it. Solution is not banning Tylenol for pregnant women, which could lead to more birth defects.
it's just better not to do it. You learn your limits, and it's been really hard. This is amazing that we're here today. And no one has been able to point to anything to say this is what caused it. And you can't point to that and say it didn't cause it. I have no idea. I'm completely open, not blaming anything, but I'm open to the discussion and the fact that there's work being done to find answers. I'm very grateful. I was already excited to vote for Mr. Trump anyway, Mr. President. But when we got word of RFK doing his work, I was ecstatic. I could not wait for this work to be done, that somebody would try to find us some answers. I'm just very grateful. I pray for my son every day and hope that he can get the help that he needs. And just thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Donna. You take care of yourself. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Jackie. I'm also extremely grateful for the opportunity to be here and share my son's story. My son is Eddie. He's 11. He's on the opposite end of the spectrum from what Amanda just explained. He's considered high functioning. He was not always high functioning. He was nonverbal till the age 4. We've had quite a hard time to get to the place where we are today. I am just so grateful to President Trump and the entire administration for finally listening to moms who have been crying out for help, for answers for years. I've met so many other moms with children on the spectrum in the 9 years since my son's diagnosis, and they all have very similar stories. And they've all just wanted somebody to listen, to not ridicule them or look at them like they were the crazy people. It's hard when you don't have doctors that take the time to really listen and find out when the change happened and what change happened. And it's just, I've been praying for this day for 9 years, and I'm so thankful to God for bringing the administration into our lives.
God did not bring this administration.
I'm speechless. This day is a day I never thought would happen. I thought that we would never have an administration that was courageous enough to look into things that no prior administration had. So I'm just here to express my gratitude, and I am looking forward to what comes from this, and hopefully we just get more answers. So thank you.
Thank you very much. So I just want to say acetaminophen is basically Tylenol, essentially, because I noticed that term is used throughout this conference. So it's essentially Tylenol. And I just recommend strongly that you don't use Tylenol unless it's absolutely necessary. I understand it's maybe 10% of the women that are pregnant are, would perhaps be forced to use it. And that would mean you just can't tough it out. No matter what you do, you can't tough it out. So that's up to you and your doctor. But this is a very strong recommendation, maybe stronger from me than from the group, because they're waiting for certain studies. I just want to say, I want to say it like it is. Don't take Tylenol. Don't take it. If you just can't, I mean, it's
he's not even listening to the study. He's just making the shots. Don't take it. And some people hear this and they're thinking, he's the president of the United States. President says, don't do something, I'm not going to do it.
Fight like hell not to take it. There may be a point where you have to, and that you have to work out with yourself. So don't take Tylenol. Other things that we recommend, or certainly I do anyway, is, and it's so important to me to see the doctor 4 times or 5 times for a vaccine. Don't let them pump your baby up with the largest pile of stuff you've ever seen in your life going into the delicate little body of a baby. Even if it's 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, you just break it up into, I would say 5, but let's say 4. 4 visits to the doctor instead of 1. And certain things I think you should do. We've already taken out and are in the process of taking out mercury and aluminum now. You know what mercury is. You know what aluminum is. Who the hell wants that pumped into a body? And there were rumors about both of them for a long time. But we're having them taken out. We're having them taken out of the vaccines. Hepatitis B, again, that's sexually transmitted. And we think you should wait. I think you should wait till 12. You know, I'm making these statements from me. I'm not making them from these doctors, because when they talk about, different results, different studies, I talk about a lot of common sense, and they have that too. They have that too a lot. But I recommend the hepatitis B. Take it at 12. Sexually transmitted. You don't have to give it to the baby when the baby's 2 years old. And there are a lot of theories on that, but not when they're 12. Doesn't seem to be a problem at all. The MMR and the chickenpox. Chickenpox has already been broken out. It's a singular shot, but the MMR is not. And I've heard for years that there's a problem with it. But they say that there's no problem if you do each shot separately, not put together. So an MMR, go out and do it separately. Don't take Tylenol. Don't give Tylenol to the baby after the baby's born. Every time the baby gets a shot, the baby gets a shot. They say, here, take a cup of Tylenol. I've heard that for years. Take Tylenol. Don't take Tylenol. Don't have your baby take Tylenol. Now, Tylenol is fine for people that aren't pregnant, that aren't in the situation that we're talking about. One very specific situation. If you're pregnant, don't take Tylenol. When you have your baby, don't give your baby Tylenol at all, unless it's absolutely necessary. Don't do it. Break up your visits to the doctors. Break them up. Do it in 5 if you can. Now, it's inconvenient. It's inconvenient. Oh, you're going to have to go back another year later. You're going to go back each year for 4 years, 5 years, 3 years. Just break it up. Break it up, because it's too much liquid. Too many different things are going into that baby at too big a number. The size of this thing, when you look at it, it's like 80 different vaccines and beyond vaccines, and 80. and you give that to a little kid. I mean, I can tell you that I had a woman who worked for me, a beautiful, wonderful woman, worked in Trump Tower, and she had the most perfect child, beautiful, just perfect. And I remember this little blonde-haired boy running.
This guy is such a disgusting slob. He's telling Americans what to do with their health. He has no idea what he's talking about. Don't trust him, by the way.
Around the lobby of Trump Tower, so healthy and so vibrant. And I said, that's great. And one day I came in and she was crying her eyes out behind the counter. She worked at the front desk. She was crying her eyes out. I've never, as much as I've ever seen anyone distraught, she was. I said, are you okay? What happened? My boy, I've lost my boy. What does that mean, your boy? My boy, you know him, sir. You've seen him grow up. He was so beautiful. And I took him for a vaccine, sir. And he developed this unbelievable, I think she said 107, 108. You know, it goes well beyond when this happens. It goes up to 106, 107, 108. You know, we hear 105 and you're in trouble, but it just goes up to a level that you never hear about, but it goes up very high. And it's fried. They get fried. She said, I took him, he developed an unbelievable temperature. And I've lost him, sir. He's gone. And then I saw the boy. It was so tragic to see. That was the following day. That was the following day after the vaccine. And I've seen it 2 other times, and I think 3 other times, but 2 other times, where they go to the doctor and they get the vaccine, they get the shot. The kid is, badly hurt. Let's be nice, badly hurt. And just do it. Break it up into 5, break it up into 4, break it up into 3 if you have to, but go to the doctor 4 times instead of once, or 5 times instead of once. And for some reason, they insist that you put it all into the body, and maybe that's the drug companies that make more money that way. Maybe it's the doctors because they don't want to be, doing this so much. Maybe it's the doctors. They get maybe more money. Who the hell knows what it is? Don't do it. Get them broken into 4 or 5 visits. Do it 4 or 5. That means you have.
Even RFK Jr. is getting frustrated. You can tell because he's like, this is not what the purpose of the meeting is. And he's mad probably that Trump is saying to break your vaccines into multiple visits when he's like, I don't want them taking vaccines, Mr. President. I thought we talked about this backstage.
20%, 25% what you're putting into the baby's body. It can only help. It can only help. And the other things I told you about, just the word tough it out. It's easy for me to say tough it out, but sometimes in life with a lot of other things, you have to tough it out also. Don't take Tylenol. Don't give Tylenol to the baby. When the baby's born, they throw it at you. Here, give him a couple of Tylenol. They give him a shot. They give him a vaccine. And every time they give him a vaccine, they're throwing Tylenol. And some of these babies, they're long born, and all of a sudden they're gone. And it doesn't hurt not to do it. It doesn't hurt. There's no downside. There's no downside at all. And break up MMR. Break it up. It's practically a known fact that if you break it up, you're not going to have a problem. But for years, we've been hearing how bad MMR is as a combination. And I'm very happy that you broke out chickenpox, because that was really a problem. And there are other things. It's interesting because there are other things, we were talking about it, other different drugs, pills that you take that we know are so bad and they don't take them anymore. But for some reason, with this, they keep taking it. Don't take Tylenol. There's no downside. Don't take it. You'll be uncomfortable. It won't be as easy, maybe, but don't take it. If you're pregnant, don't take Tylenol. And don't give it to the baby after the baby is born. And we have.
What about if you're an adult? This is what's so confusing about the messaging.
More than 3 years left. And I told Bobby and the doctors behind me, and they are so committed to this, I told them that this is the #1 thing I want to do from you. And we have something else called favored nations, where I'm going to be reducing drug prices by 1,000%, by 900, 600, 500, 1,200. We're going to be reducing drug
35, 5 million, 26.
prices at levels never seen. It's called favored nations. We're going to be paying what right now, we're like the garbage can for the rest of the world, and we have been for forever. We pay much higher for drugs than the rest of the world. We subsidize the rest of the world. We're not doing that anymore. And that's a big thing. That's a big thing. That's bigger than anything. I told the story the other night that I was so proud in my first term that for the final year, drug prices went down 0.25%. And I was so proud. I said, why? I'm the first one to do it. I think it was 28 years, they said, where drug prices went down from the beginning of the term to the end. And I was so proud. I called a news conference. I said, you know, drug prices have gone down. First time it's happened in 28 years. You know what it was? 0.25%. I was so proud. Now we're going to have them go down from $100 a pill to $9 a pill. From $1,300 for a shot of like an Ozempic or the fat, I call it the fat pill or the fat drug. Sometimes it works, I guess, for people. The ones I've seen, it hasn't worked so well. I got a lot of friends, they're fat. And they said, yeah, I lost some weight. I said, you don't look at
A little fat shaming from the president, nothing new.
it to me. But they pay $1,300, $1,200, and they go to London and they pay $88. And they call me, they go, what's this all about? We're subsidizing the rest of the world stupidly because there are a lot of stupid people in this country running things. And how big is that? But to me, that's nothing compared to autism. I see that gorgeous boy. I have a big present for him in the back. You know, you bring him back. We're going to bring him into the Oval Office. I have the best present he's ever going to get, okay? A big one. I saved it for you, okay?
Yeah, this is live, by the way.
Because I heard you were coming. Look how beautiful he is. So that's it. There's nothing much to say. Don't take Tylenol if you're pregnant, and don't give Tylenol to your child when he's born or she's born. Don't give it. Just don't give it. And we're going to have, I think, really, if you do all the things that I say, break it up. Just break it up. Break up the shots with the doctor. MMRs, as I told you, separate, separate, separate. Chickenpox already separate. You do these things. I'm telling you, I want to, when I leave office, I don't want to have, it's going to be the kind of number that we're hearing where it's 1 in 32 or 1 in 10, because I've heard 1 in 10 also. And in California, it's really bad. I want it to be, let's get it back to maybe 1 in 10,000 or 1 in 20,000 or maybe none in 20,000. And the only way you're going to do that, because this is artificially induced. This is induced by something. You don't go from 1 in 20,000 to 1 in 10,000, then to 1 in 10. That means you're taking something and something's wrong. And I feel very...
No, make sure, try to watch, because, look, I understand he's unbearable, but look, you got to watch, because the problem is Trump supporters don't watch, and we have to watch because we have to educate people on the truth.
Certain, and I know I'll be criticized, someday they'll look back and they'll say, well, it wasn't, but I think it will. I think we're going to have a tremendous, this is the most important thing. There's nothing more important than me. We cured inflation that Biden gave us. He gave us so much inflation, the biggest ever in history. We got inflation done. We brought prices down. We gave you the largest tax cuts, all that stuff. It doesn't mean a thing compared to what we're doing today. This means everything. So we're going to save a lot of children from a tough life, really tough life. We're going to save a lot of parents from a tough life. Okay, how about a few questions? Let's just make it on this subject. This is so beyond as a subject that I'd rather not talk about, you know, some nonsense on the economy. And I will say this.
Some nonsense on the economy. The economy is just not, I would really rather not talk about the Epstein files or the fact that everything's so expensive. Please don't ask me any important questions. Just ask me about Tylenol.
The economy is unbelievable. The stock market just hit another record high and all that stuff. This means more to me. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, I have one on your announcement, one on vaccines that's also related.
Yes.
Why do you think we haven't heard more previously about the tie to autism and acetaminophen?
Nobody knows. I don't know. Not only that, when you say it, you get attacked. I was saying something similar, not as strongly, because now facts are on our side. But I was saying it with Bobby 20 years ago, and I was attacked. I said, whoa, what was that all about? I had no idea. You get attacked. I don't know. The medical community, the drug companies, doctors. I don't know what it is. All I want to do, I don't care. I don't care about being attacked. It doesn't matter to me. I believe that the numbers at the end of our term or shortly thereafter could be really phenomenal. I want it to go up just like it came down to this horrible level. 1 in 10, 1 in 12. I was told 1 in 10. I was told 1 in 12. Today I heard 1 in 31 if you add the girls and the boys together. It's crazy. And it was 1 in 10,000 and 1 in 20,000. It's not even sustainable for a country, you want to know the truth. And there are other places that don't have it. And they have things in common. And that's called medical research. Yeah, please.
By the way, slightly off topic, but I just saw Laura Loomer, one of Trump's biggest allies and influencers. She tweeted, this is unrelated, but she tweeted some fucked up shit about Jasmine Crockett. She says, "It hurts my heart that we have so many, quote, ghetto black bitches who hate America serving in Congress." That's what one of Trump's allies has to say about a sitting member of Congress who is a black woman.
Curious as you look at the trend lines,
yeah,
how much of this is the causation of acetaminophen and how much is sort of better diagnosis, doctors, researchers having a better understanding of what is on the autism spectrum?
Do you want to do that? Sure, go ahead.
That's one of the canards that has been promoted by the industry for many years, that it's changed diagnostic criteria, better recognition. But there's been study after study done of that completely debunks that. One of them by the Mind Institute at UC Davis, University of California. But also it's just common sense, because you're only seeing this in people who are under 50 years of age. If it were better recognition or diagnosis, you'd see it in 70-year-old men. I've never seen this happening in people my age. I've never seen a case of full-blown autism, and that means profound autism. I want to be very careful. Head banging, stimming, toe walking, nonverbal, non-toilet trained. I've never in my life seen a 70-year-old man who looks like that. You're only seeing it in the kids. It's an epidemic.
Thank you, Mr. President. I was hoping that you could clear up confusion for moms and dads across America, many of whom voted for you. There's a statement that was put out by the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists, and in their statement, they write, "Acetaminophen remains a safe, trusted option for pain relief during pregnancy," and that's at odds with what you said and with what many of the experts say. How do you clear up this confusion?
That's the establishment. They're funded by lots of different groups. And you know what? Maybe they're right. I don't think they are, because I don't think the facts bear it out at all. They're fighting for something that, in my opinion, they shouldn't be fighting for. But here's the thing. There's no downside to doing, other than a mother will have to, as I say, tough it out a little bit. There's no downside to doing this. It's not like, oh, if you do this, you're going to die. There's no downside. There's no downside to going over a 4-year or a 5-year period or a 3-year period, or even if you space them out for 6 months, you space it out. There's no downside. And that's why I will say the gentlemen behind me, they have very strong views, and they feel that we're right, but they'll have more research done over the next 2 months. I said, well, 2 months is a long time. A lot of people could be saved, and there's no downside to doing it. Everything I said, there's no downside to doing it. It can only be good. And I think you're going to see very good results. That's establishment stuff, and we've been reading that about a lot of things for years. And you know what's happened? We've gone from 1 in 20,000 to 1 in 10,000 to 1 in 32 to 1 in 10. Think of it. 1 in 10 or 12 or 1 in 31. Think of it.
This guy's insane, man. He's losing his mind.
1 in 31 people, young kids, get autism. What is it, Jeff?
My question is about leucovorin. You mentioned that as part of your plan. That is also a chemotherapy treatment. Have you been in touch with the drug companies to increase production about that? And just, I'm going to throw in my follow-up at the same time. Dr. Oz mentioned that this will be available with CHIP, children who are on CHIP. But the big beautiful bill reduced funding for CHIP and Medicaid by $1 trillion over the next 10 years. Are you concerned that that will impact your ability to get this drug out?
I'll explain it to you in a second, but please go ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you. Leucovorin is not a chemotherapy, but it is a vitamin given with chemotherapy sometimes. And the idea here is that the folic acid receptor in the brain is blocked by some antibody response. It might be 20, 40, 50% of kids with autism. And leucovorin will bypass that blocked receptor. And that's why so many doctors are probably seeing so much clinical improvement on kids with leucovorin.
So are you going to increase production?
Yeah, we've been in touch with the companies, and they are prepared to ramp up production. And we actually talked to them about a month ago.
And on your second part of your net in this country, and nobody minds that. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, you said that there is no reason to give newborn babies hepatitis B vaccines. But hepatitis B can be contracted not just through sexually transmitted diseases, it comes from needles to open wounds. So when you say you feel, is that appropriate to be telling?
I think it's absolutely appropriate. I think they should wait till.
Shut the fuck up. She just said all the reasons why this can actually be contracted, not just through intercourse, through needles, through wounds, etc. What if your baby's walking around the beach and cuts their foot open and then gets hepatitis? And by the way, you said you feel. You have no evidence to back this up. So you're basically putting children's lives at risk.
They're 12 years old. Yes, please.
Mr. President, thank you all for being here. You've been talking about reducing autism by spacing out vaccines. Would you like other combined vaccines babies receive to be spaced out like MMRV?
What is this again?
You've been talking.
Speak up, please.
Sir. You've been talking about reducing autism by spacing out vaccines.
Right. Correct.
Would you like the other combined vaccines babies receive to be spaced out like MMRV?
I would say yes, but that just is, for me, it's a lot of common sense involved in this. It's a process, but we're looking, but it should at least be given separately. Now, it's possible that you can reduce them and give it, I'd give them in small doses, but it's possible maybe in that particular case, the MMR wouldn't work in small doses, but you can certainly give them as separate shots. It's been proven to be very safe when you give them in separate shots instead of mixing. So I don't think there's any reason to do that. Do you agree with it? I'm not a doctor, but I'm giving my opinion. I don't think there's any reason to do that. So it's been proven to be safe when you break them up. But MMR by itself, I've heard bad things about it for many years. Yes, please.
Mr. President, is the spectrum too broad, in your opinion? For research purposes, you are dealing with a population of children who might have social boundary difficulties, and then you have children who are, going to grow up to be adults in diapers. I mean, what do you think?
We don't know how broad the spectrum is. We don't know exactly where it starts and where it ends, but we do know what we're going through. We're going through some very serious trouble, and we know autism. I mean, it could be bigger, it could be small, a little bit smaller, but the number is unacceptable. And the number, the way it's come down, because the spectrums remain the same, the number, the way it's come down is just unacceptable, meaning come down to that level of 1 in 10, 1 in 12, 1 in 31.
Mr. President, medical professionals.
Go ahead in the back.
Mr. President, this question is more directed towards Secretary Kennedy. It was talked about that we're just kind of finding out about the fact that babies are affected this way. Is there a concern that information is being suppressed right now within HHS, and could an investigation perhaps be launched seeing any more
Well, I think information has been really not given out very freely over the years, absolutely. And I think that's by drug companies and maybe doctors, but I certainly think that over the years. I think this is a different group. We have a lot of information. And that information, I mean, it's the information that we have that we're making these statements. And I'm making them out front, and I'm making them loud, and I'm making them strongly not to take Tylenol, not to take it. Just don't take it unless it's absolutely necessary, and there's not too many cases where that will be the case. And again, What's the worst? The worst is
This
nothing
episode
can
is
happen.
brought to you by Tylenol.
It's very positive. That's a positive
Take
thing.
it if you want
But
to.
I don't believe that's
Take it.
that. I don't actually
I'm no
believe
medical
that's
professional,
possible. I
but
think the
medical
results are going to
professionals
be
say you can
amazing.
take
I want to
this.
see amazing results by the time I leave
might take
this
one now.
beautiful building, and I will consider this. I believe, you know, with the wars, I've stopped 7 different wars. I've saved millions of lives. I've done a lot of things. This will be as important as any single thing I've done, because I know ladies, beautiful ladies just like this that are going through the same thing.
I can make some
and
fun
it's not
videos with
easy,
this
and I
right
admire
here.
you for being able to do it.
The Trump
But I admire him too. I
administration
wish
doesn't want
I
me to
had a
have
face
this.
that looked like that. If I look like
They don't want me to have these secret drugs right here. Get yours before they go off the market. Tylenol.
Other countries too. As you make this announcement, do you expect your decision may affect
I hope
other
they
countries?
follow it. Yeah, I hope they follow it. Yeah, other countries are, you know, sell Tylenol. Some countries don't. I mean, I hear Cuba now. Again, you'll have to check this out. But I hear Cuba doesn't have it because it's very expensive, and they don't have the money to have it, or they don't want to spend the money to have it. They don't have Tylenol, and I hear they have essentially no autism. So you have to check it out. Yeah, Brian.
Medical professionals have warned for
I
decades.
said, no, not you. You're CNN. You're fake news. Go ahead, Brian.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to go back to the Amish community, if I can, just for a second. I recently saw a man from Minnesota, an Amish man from Minnesota, on a podcast, and the host asked him what the rates were for like ADHD and autism, and he had no idea about ADHD, didn't know that it existed, and certainly didn't know of any cases. What are they doing?
It doesn't exist with the Amish community, and they don't take all of this junk. It doesn't exist. That tells you, doesn't that tell you? That's like, you know, that's like certain countries where it doesn't exist and they don't take it. Would you like to make a comment about that, Mark?
The Amish population is a very mixed group. So there's a subset that take vaccines, a subset that does not. And we know they have very low rates of chronic disease all across the board.
Please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Should the establishment media show at least some openness to, you know, trying to figure out what the causes of autism are?
I wish they would, yeah.
And why are they so closed-minded?
Well, they just, look, it's not only the media, in all fairness, it's some people. When you talk about vaccines, they go crazy. And, you know, I'm a big supporter of vaccines. I got a certain vaccine approved in 9 months that would have taken from 5 to 12 years. I'm very proud of it. A lot of people think it was one of the greatest things I've done, and some people think, mostly Republicans, actually. I'll tell you, the Democrats think it was, they think Operation Warp Speed was one of the greatest things any president has done, any president. It's, you know, we're very proud of what happened. We got hit with something that came from a place that shouldn't have happened, but it did happen. You know, those things take place, and you're very unpleasantly surprised. But no, I'm a big believer in vaccines. The polio vaccine, big believer in vaccines. I know Bobby and you guys have it out a little bit, but he's a believer in vaccines too. But I've seen how great vaccines can be, how incredible they can be. So I'm a believer. Yeah.
Sir.
Yeah, please.
Your comments made about MMR and hepatitis B, and you
Right.
said those were your suggestions, but have you spoken with Secretary Kennedy about actually making those changes?
I have, yeah, I have. I've spoken to all the doctors about it, and doctors that are not here right now. I've spoken to many doctors about everything we're talking about. And, you know, the Tylenol has started to be spoken of over the last period of time, but we've been doing the research. A lot of what they've been speaking about comes from right here, by research done by these people. And I just say it again, don't take Tylenol. Don't take it. And don't give it to your child after your child is born. And do all those other things, little things, just spread out.
Take it. Take it if you want to.
Your visits, et cetera, on the vaccine. And I want to thank everybody. This is a very important day. Thank you very much.
Kimmel, he doesn't care. Bye-bye. All right, folks, thank you for watching. This has been another edition of the Progressive Pulse. I'm done for today, but make sure you're subscribed. I'll be live tomorrow morning as long as Trump goes through with his speech. He's planning on making a speech tomorrow. I need to figure out what time. But I will set up a live event. So when you go on my YouTube channel, you'll see where my live will be, what time it'll be, and make sure that you watch it. And it will be historic. I'm sure Trump is going to talk about some crazy stuff tomorrow. If you're new here, make sure you're subscribed. Please like the video, even though the show is coming to an end, because people are going to watch it after the fact and it helps boost my video in the algorithm. Thank you for tuning into this broadcast. If you want to keep up with me, follow me on Instagram, TikTok, etc. My username is Josh the Progressive across all social media, so it's really easy to find me no matter what platform you're on, including Facebook, etc. Actually, Facebook might literally just be my name, Josh Greene. But yeah, search either one, you'll find me. I'm an independent content creator. If you want to support my work directly, you can become a paid subscriber here on YouTube. You can send super chats, $1, $5, etc. It helps support the show directly. You can do the same, buy me a coffee or Venmo. Those are linked in the description of this video. Below the video, you can find the description. There's URL links that you can click to follow me and to contribute to the channel. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Stay vigilant. Stay well. I'll see you tomorrow if the rapture doesn't happen. I'll see you if Trump speaks. If not, I'll be there with my regular content across social media. Thank you, thank you, thank you.